Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Happy Friday, Brooke Grimsley, Danny Mack, Matthew Rocci, Randy Carricker. How are we doing, kids?
I'm doing great, especially after seeing the new dance moves that you added to your Friday edition here.
I stole that from the Cardinals after they get a hit. What does that mean when they do the triangle thing? You know, so I do the arms up. And if you're watching, by the way, you can do so on our Airlines Team Studio Cam. You see the little dance at the beginning of the show. So, yeah, that was a new dance move, an homage to the Cardinals when they get a hit.
I was going to say, you're not doing it very often, are you?
No. So here he is. But I don't know what it means. We got to ask him.
Yes, I think that if you go over today, if you're a reporter listening and you're going over to Busch Stadium, first question is that, and then maybe you can ask about the offense and what's going on with that.
Guys usually won't say why they do it. They're pretty quiet about it. It stays in-house.
But now that Newt is back, I think Newt will be, because obviously he had the pepper grinder, so I think that even though he wasn't around early in the season, he knows what's up with that. So he'll tell
but you
us
could figure out what a pepper grinder was.
Yeah,
this one's a little different.
I don't know. I thought the pepper grinder originally was kind of a vulgar thing, and then all of a sudden I find out, oh, no, it's a pepper grinder.
Randy, no.
Coming up on the show, AEW's fastest rising superstar, Swerve Strickland.
Yeah, Swerve is coming up here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk to Jay Delsing at 7:15. Joey V with his season closing missive for us at 8:15. Battlehawks offensive tackle Jaryd Jones-Smith will join us as well. The Battlehawks taking on the hated Memphis Showboats tomorrow. Although, do you hate Memphis?
Do I hate Memphis? I feel very specifically called out here.
Well, because of the Nashville-Memphis thing. Is there a rivalry between Nashville?
No, I have no issues with Memphis. There's a lot of great things in Memphis. One, great barbecue. Not as good as St. Louis barbecue. It's very different. They do the dry rub down there, and it's a little bit too spicy for me. I like spice, but not that much. You have Graceland. You have the thing that Matthew loves, which is the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid.
Right.
A fan favorite, except for Rocchio, who doesn't like shapes for whatever reason.
Mud Island.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't done that, but yes.
Yeah. So
I have no issues with it. Great music, of course.
And the Memphis Redbirds.
I was just going to say, the Memphis Redbirds. Go check out a little AAA baseball.
Yeah, pretty good. Jeremy Rutherford will also be with us on today's show. So it's going to be fun. The Cardinals in action tonight. They open a 3-game series with the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cardinals are going to send their right-hander and friend of the show, Kyle Gibson, to the mound. He'll be opposed by Freddie Peralta, who is the nominal ace for the first-place Brewers at the moment. And hopefully the Cardinals can take 2 out of 3 here. Hopefully, if they win the first 2, they can take 3 out of 3.
Can we? Yes, we need a sweep here. That's the thing that you need right now for the Cardinals, because they are still 0-6 in series finales, and that is something to watch for in this one. Freddie Peralta, he is off to a really, really good start. 2 wins under his belt, 2.55 ERA. But I found this stat really interesting. He has a 5.86 ERA in 11 starts versus St. Louis, his worst against any NL Central opponent. So maybe this is a chance.
He hasn't been great against St. Louis. Now, he is going on extra days rest going into tonight against Kyle Gibson. D.L. Hall against Michaelis Game 2. Colin Ray against Sonny Gray in Game 3. Brewers.
Ray and Gray, that old classic matchup. Wow.
Gray and Ray. Of course, you're looking at trying to tie in names, Randy, but that's Game 3. The Brewers, as you mentioned, off to a really good start, 11-6, and their offense is rolling right now. They've been one of the hottest teams offensively in baseball.
Yeah. That's the Brewers. Not the Cardinals.
Oh, I said the Cardinals, didn't I?
I wish it was the Cardinals. That was nice.
On the flip side,
I don't think we should be mentioning, by the way, within a minute of each other. Well, it's the Cardinals and offense.
Not right now.
I don't know that they're that close.
Not right now. And really, the pitching for the Cardinals, starters are 10th from the bottom in ERA.
Yeah. But they are getting what I would hope that they would have expected from the starting pitching. Maybe another inning here or there, but ordinarily they're getting 6, sometimes 7 out of their starters. Are they getting the low ERA? No, but it wouldn't have been reasonable to expect a low ERA from these guys, right?
I would have thought middle of the pack. And bottom third right now. It's so early in the season, and the Cardinals are 9-10, so we're only 19 games in. But that early narrative gets old very, very quickly. You want to see some changes coming up and starting tonight when you're at home.
And Gibby is a guy that is going to give you 6. Now, it might be 6 and 7 runs, might be 6 and 2 runs, but you're going to get 6 innings out of him. It's like the old Mike Allstott, the fullback, one of Matthew Roccio's favorite players in the history of the NFL. Boom. Yeah, it's
Chris Berman.
It's second.
He's excited.
Second and 1. he'll get you 2. Second and 3, he'll get you 2.
Yeah. There you go.
Another good thing, though, for the Cardinals is their bullpen here that you have with Ryan Helsley. He has been looking, obviously, really, really good. And then you have JoJo Romero. And Andrew Kittredge has just been such a great addition to the bullpen. He was the final piece of the puzzle. But right now, it's still just youth dominating things for the Cardinals lineup. I'm interested to see, we talked about this, if Oli Marmol is going to shake things up a little bit, just move maybe some pieces around in the lineup to produce something different.
I think it's interesting with the Brewers. They've had 8 different pitchers start a game in 17 of their games. So they have bounced around a lot. Joe Ross is a guy that has been all over the place. Colin Ray. Joe Ross, by the way, back in the majors for the first time since 21. D.L. Hall, who you see in Game 2, was acquired in the Burns trade. As Randy mentioned, Freddie Peralta is their ace, and they have Wade Miley, who gets injured a lot. But how long can this last with 12 players that appeared on their opening day roster for the first time? These are 2 young teams. Cardinals have a bunch of young players. Obviously, the Brewers do as well. So they lose Craig Counsell. Corbin Burns was traded. Yelich on the IL. Devin Williams out until May. He's got a couple of stress fractures in his back. So this will be an interesting series going into tonight at Busch Stadium. And one of the things I'll be curious about as a fan is how the Cardinals honor Whitey Herzog before the game. That'll be something to watch, and so get to the ballpark early.
Who do you think plays center field tonight?
That's a great question. I'm going to go with Scott.
Okay.
And if Scott doesn't perform, then I'm looking at the transition of Nootbaar to center. Scott sits. Siani sits. Donovan to left, Gorman to second, Contreras, Herrera, your DH catcher. You've got to get Ivan Herrera in this lineup some way because the offense has just not been doing it. And you would say, okay, start generating some offense when you're not hitting the ball. Problem is they only have 6 stolen bases, which is 5th from the bottom, and their on-base percentage is 25th in Major League Baseball at .300. So you have to get on base first to try to generate some of this offense.
That's exactly what you need. And also, I want to see Mason win. I'm curious to see if we're still going to see him get some of these breaks. Oli Marmol mentioned here recently, as we know, he was taking some days off, but he said that Mason Wynn seems to be on the other side of it. I'm avoiding it, Dan. You see what I'm doing here? I'm trying to learn from you here. What do we have coming up?
Yeah.
Matthew, you know how long you had it?
Don't do it, Matthew.
No.
Take it or leave it. Coming up at 7:45.
Okay, so kids.
Fresh take at 8.
Back in the 70s when Billy Martin was the manager of the New York Yankees, his offense was kind of scuffling.
The fight.
And he took all the players in his lineup and he put their names in a hat and chose them out of a hat. So I'm going to choose a Cardinal lineup for you based on names that I've just written down and put slips of paper in, okay?
Are you shuffling those pieces of paper?
I'm shuffling them around.
Okay.
Yep. So is there anybody, before we start, is there any player that you want specifically in a spot, or can we just go, we pick 9 and it works out whatever way?
Specifically in a spot?
Like, do you need to have Goldie hitting second? Do you need to have Arenado?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just go
Okay,
wherever.
so here we go. We want to start with the leadoff hitter then?
Just let it rip.
Okay, here we go. Your Cardinal leadoff hitter tonight, picked from a slip of paper, is Donnie Baseball. How about that?
Oh, convenient.
Yeah. Okay, your number 2 hitter is Ivan Herrera.
I'm all right with that.
Okay. Your number 3 hitter, picked out of the hat, Ollie. This is for you. Know you're listening. Number 3 hitter, Mason Wynn.
Oh.
Don't like that.
Wow.
He's leading your hit team in hitting, though. I mean, if you go by the old adage, your best hitter should be your number 3 hitter. Right now, who's your best hitter?
I would have, by the way, you're looking for a certain guy in the line. I would have gone Donovan at the leadoff spot.
Okay,
so you got it anyway.
I think that worked out well. Okay, this is your cleanup hitter, right?
Okay.
Victor Scott.
Oh.
Okay, we may not go with that.
Hey, you're
So
just trying something
historically-
different.
we are,
You're doing
yeah.
something different here.
Historically, in baseball, your number 4 hitter should not be hitting 087. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
With
that might be an
very little
issue.
power. Number 5 hitter, Contreras.
I like that.
Okay.
He's your DH. Number 6 hitter, chosen out of a hat here this morning on the opening drive, Goldie.
Which maybe would be the case anyway if things keep going the way that they're going for him and dropping him down in the lineup. I don't think they do that for a while, but it's something you're going to have to take a look at.
Yeah. Number 7, J-Dub.
Okay.
Conspicuous by his absence so far is Nolan Arenado. We might have to flip Arenado and
Scott.
You can't do that, though. You have to go by the hat rules.
You
The hat
might
has
have to.
determined this. It's a
Okay.
sorting hat, like in Harry Potter.
Your number 8, Arenado. And number 9, Newt. So I would flip one of those two with Scott. I would say, okay, I can't go all hat. How about this play?
You got to be all in if you do this.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so
No
let's
cap,
do it.
Randy.
Let's do it. So what's our lineup? I wasn't paying that. I was just picking names.
You got Donovan, Herrera, Wynn, Scott, Contreras, Goldie, Walker, Arenado, and Newpar.
I think it's fun. I think we should do this.
I think sometimes you get such a creature of habit that you walk into the ballpark, you say, guys, no BP. I don't want you here to the ballpark until 5 o'clock, which is what they used to do back in the day with Stan and Red and those guys, which is amazing. They take one round of BP and then get ready for the game. But don't show up to the ballpark until 5:30. If you need treatment, you come in early. But here's the lineup. We shook it up a little bit. Let's go get them. And just have a little fun with it.
Yeah, why not? So here's what Billy had. Let me see if I can find it for you quickly. When he chose the lineup out of a hat, it was April 20th of 1977, so it was right around now.
Wow.
This is eerily creepy right now.
So he had Thurman Munson hitting second, Chambliss hit eighth. So, and those were their middle of the lineup guys. So let me find this game for you quickly. April 20th of 77. And I'll give you the lineup. But it's not a bad idea because I think it does cause everybody to loosen up a little bit. And maybe, like you said, Dan, you're such a creature of habit. Maybe it just changes your thought process that day where the pressure's off. If you're Victor Scott, you say, oh, I'm hitting fourth. Okay, I'm just going to try to get my bat on the ball. I'm going to try to, my goal here is to not strike out.
I think he's trying to do that now.
Yeah.
No matter where he's at in the lineup.
But to your point about the pressing, and I feel like sometimes too, the guys are pressing. You know that. They talked about it last season. You could see it in the way that they were handling themselves at the plate. And maybe it's just about simplifying it and having fun, to your point. Now, do I think Ollie's going to do this? No. Would it be interesting and fun? Yes. Would some people be very angry about it? Of course. But maybe it's just simplifying things and getting back to having fun so you're not pressing as much.
Yeah, I think the majority of people would be like, this is kind of fun. This is different. And Joe Madden used to be that way, especially on the road. Not necessarily pulling names out of a hat, but he would tell guys, if you show up early, the clubhouse door is locked. So you can hang out outside in the hallway, but you're not allowed in the clubhouse.
I think that's great.
I do too.
Yep. So that lineup, but it was actually pretty normal. I don't know how much of it. I don't know if Billy picked this lineup out of a hat with the media present. Yeah, Willie Randolph hitting first, Munson hitting second, Reggie hitting third, and then it was Greg Nettles, who was a number 4 hitter, a legit number 4 hitter. Mickey Rivers, our normal leadoff hitter, hit fifth. Roy White hit sixth. Carlos May, one of my all-time favorites, hit sixth. Chambliss seventh. Bucky Dent eighth.
Some of those seem to be normal.
Yeah.
And then he shuffled a little bit in the middle. But, you know, I think, though, these guys are creatures of habit, and sometimes you shake it up and just have a little fun with it.
Carlos May was in the Vietnam War.
Yep.
Wound up with the White Sox. One night in Chicago, Carlos May was the left fielder. A guy named Walt No Neck Williams was his nickname. He played center field. And an outfielder named Pat Kelly was in right, who was notorious for his weak arm. And Harry Carey says, tonight in the outfield, we have no thumb, no neck, and no arm.
That's so good.
Back in the days when you'd get away with that.
Yeah. You can now. Coming up, Jay Delsing on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
I'm Dr. TJ from the Institute of Natural Health. I'm inviting you to check out our show, Wellness 101, every Sunday at 7 a.m. right here on ESPN. On Wellness 101, we talk about how to optimize your health as well as all things health-related. We discuss how to take control of your health by being your own health advocate, and we offer practical tips for you to become the healthiest you possible. On Wellness 101, we cover topics like optimizing hormones, thyroid health, gut function, cardiovascular health, sexual health and performance, and many more. So join Aaron and me every Sunday for Wellness 101 at 7 a.m. on ESPN.
Save big money on Clearview Cabinetry at Menards. Clearview Cabinetry starts as a kitchen built for now and grows with you as life changes. It's flexible by design with full access cabinet construction, so you can go from doors to drawers for storage that works when you need it. Explore Clearview's cabinet options and start designing today in store or on Menards.com, where you can find more of our great deals going on now.
Save big money at Menards.
Delsing is with us. He is the host with Danny Mac of Golf with Jay Delsing every Sunday morning from 8 to 10 here on 101 ESPN. Always a great program. If you are moving around on a Sunday morning, check out Golf with Jay Delsing. And, of course, you can check it out as well at Jay Delsing's website. And you can hear and see everything there. Jay, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Good morning, everybody. How are you guys?
Good. Okay, so clearly, Scottie Scheffler is on a roll and in a zone. The best roll, the best zone that Jay Delsing was ever in. Do you recall it?
I do. I think I had three or four top tens in a row, and my fourth event was like a 20th place finish, and when in those three top tens, I had four top tens. I had a chance to win. Everything was just kind of happening. I couldn't wait to play. I couldn't wait to, if I started off with a couple bogeys, it didn't matter, which I did that pretty often. And so it was just, there was just this sense that everything was going to be okay. And, it didn't last very long. Nothing like Scottie Scheffler. Guys, this is funny. So Scottie Scheffler has been world number one now for like 82 weeks or something like that, right? So maybe a little over maybe a year and a half or something. And so some kids were saying, yeah, Scottie, this is so cool. World number one, just like Tiger. And somebody else in the crowd said, yeah, you only need to do it for 11 more years.
Jay, outside of Scottie Scheffler winning the Masters, what was another story that you enjoyed following?
Oh, man, I got to tell you, Brooke, well, first of all, I loved having the live guys back. I loved having just all the best players there. I got to tell you, Jon Rahm looked like he been hit by a car or something. He looked like, I know he's got young kids, and maybe that was part of it, but he had, before the event started, Brooke, he had bags under his eyes. I think he has taken a beating for this decision, and I think it weighs on him. And I can tell you this, guys, we've talked about this before. There's not one live guy that didn't want to be playing in the Players' Championship, and there's not one of them that won't want to play in the Heritage Tournament this week. They're great, great events, and they're historic, and they're super cool. So I like seeing the live guys get back together, and just guys like Bryson DeChambeau, he's fun when he's in the equation. You never know what the heck he might do, and so I really enjoyed that. Tiger was my next, Brooke. I got to tell you, it was difficult to watch on Saturday and Sunday. He just played his heart out to make the cut, and the Friday conditions were ridiculously hard. But, man, he could barely walk on Saturday and Sunday, and I don't know how he's going to get one more win and get that 83rd win. It was tough to watch.
Jay, as you well know, you have two daughters that play golf, and they work with you. So I followed the LPGA Tour. Nelly Korda, has won 4 consecutive starts, and she's looking to become just the third LPGA player to win 5 in a row. And while Scottie Scheffler gets the headlines, Nelly Korda is putting together one of the great runs ever in golf history.
Yeah, Danny, absolutely. I have been reaching out to her people, try to get her on the show. When I watch Nelly Korda play golf, you guys, there's this elegance and power, and she's a beautiful woman as well. There's just all of these things come together that look so great when she plays. It reminds me a lot of when Tiger first came out, where you watched, you're like, what makes this kid so special? And you look and go, it looks like they were born to play the game. There's just this power that Nelly has that a lot of the LPGA players don't have, and she's athletic. It's remarkable what she's doing, and man, she's fun to watch.
Jay, why do you think the women seem to have more of a technically sound swing as opposed to the men?
Man, that's a really good question, Danny. It might be temperament. I'm not really sure. Now, I know why when we're talking about some of the Asian players, and especially the South Koreans, it fits within their culture that they work on their golf game in a certain way. And when they're young, even the men, when the young children are taught the game, they're taught from a very technical standpoint. It's like, this is how you hold a club correctly. This is the plane of the swing you want to swing on. And a lot of the kids that are good in the U.S. are more kids that are growing up in the backyard. And that's changing a little bit. But in my generation, the guys that played on the PGA Tour were also guys that played soccer. We played 3 or 4 sports a year, and that's kind of going by the wayside. But with the women, they work so much more on their technique, and where the men, they're working on their power. I mean, it is just a different game, and it'll roll. I think eventually the girls will start getting into more of the power, but their technique is. I tell everybody, Danny, and you've heard me say this way too often, but if you really want to learn about the game, watch the LPGA players, because they're much more relatable. I mean, when you watch a normal a current PGA Tour player, just drive the ball routinely, 340 yards, 350 yards, that's really hard to relate to, that kind of speed and things like that. But the women have such great control over their golf swings and the golf ball, and it's much more relatable for the average guy.
Jay, a surprise decision for one of the best junior golfers in the world yesterday. 20-year-old Gordon Sargent, I believe is his last name, announced yesterday that he's returning to Vanderbilt for his senior season instead of opting into his membership on the PGA Tour. What is your reaction to his decision?
Vandy boy.
Yeah, I know, right? So first of all, if you've ever been to Vanderbilt, you don't ever want to leave. I mean, it is really a cool place. What I would ask him, Brooke, and I don't know this, but I'm guessing, is that, Caitlin Clark just signed this, a $70,000 contract with the W as the number 1 pick. But when she was at Iowa, she was making almost $3.5 million on her NIL. I wonder if this young man's got some NIL money, and I'm sure he does. And he's also able to, the way I understand it with PGA Tour University, he's able to defer this card and take it next year when he graduates. So it's an interesting thing, Brooke. My take on it was, I was surprised. I thought, man, I was ready to get out of college, and I was ready to try to see if I could, do this on the PGA Tour. I was really surprised that he stayed for another year. But you know what? He might be getting a lot of influence for his degree from his parents and things like that. And like I said, when you go down and look at Vanderbilt's facilities, I mean, it's like a spa. It is beautiful down there.
Hey, Jay, for those that aren't aware of it, the young people that might be driving around, your father was a Major League Baseball player. You grew up in a Major League family, and you're well aware of and knew the great Hall of Famer Whitey Herzog. What are your fondest memories of Whitey?
Randy, I was probably 12 years old, something like that, and my dad dragged me along to one of these baseball I don't know what it was, like a dinner or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. I know it was important because I had to wear my church shoes. I had to make sure I looked kind of nice. And we're walking up. I'm walking right next to my dad, and we're walking towards the bar. And Whitey has got his elbow leaning on the bar, and he says to the bartender, "Hey, bartender, buy this man a drink. He was a good low ball hitter." And he was talking about my dad. And I was like, this is so cool. And I sat there listening to these two guys talk baseball, and they had no English. It was all of these different sounds. Like, did you see that fastball? And he was like, you're up at the plate and shoof, that ball. They're making all these sounds. And I'm over here going, what are these guys talking about? And they carried on for probably 20 minutes, and they just talked about the game, and they just talked about, oh man, just stuff. I was trying to take it all in. I didn't know what the heck was going on. And then I asked my dad afterwards. I'm like, Dad, what was all that? And he goes, son, we're talking baseball. And I'm like, we are? I was like, it sounded like a bunch of gibberish. I mean, nobody used any. I mean, yeah. So I'll never forget that. And Whitey was such a. You know what? When I think of Whitey, he had such an incredible feel for the game, and he managed the game with his gut. And I remember him saying to a manager that I won't say who it was, but he said, man, you're not using your gut to manage this game at all. He goes, when you get to the ballpark, don't you get a feel for, like, if I need somebody in the seventh inning tonight, I'm going with so-and-so. And it was interesting because there's so much of this metrics and all of these decisions are made by the front office. And Whitey would have gone crazy, because he knew his players so well. And I think what made him so successful to me, you guys, is that especially in the bullpen and even on the bench, everybody pretty much knew their role. This is what's going to happen. This is what Ricky Horton and Kenny Daly are good buddies. And they used to say, we didn't even need to call. We knew at this situation and who was coming up. And, Kenny had much more of a lively fastball, and Ricky had much more of a, some off-speed stuff. And they would know exactly who to get up and win. So, we lost a really great St. Louis icon tonight, and Whitey. It's really sad, guys.
Who do you have on the show on Sunday morning?
We have Danny and I went and did a little fireside chat down at Dalhousie. And Randy, have you played Dalhousie?
I played there a couple times last year. I love it.
Isn't that an awesome place? So it's a national club sitting, just an hour or so away from St. Louis. So we went down and talked golf. So we recorded that, and we've got some of the folks from X Golf here locally that are doing some really neat stuff. X Golf has some South Korean tech that is proprietary and is pretty interesting in their simulators. And then we have Zach Conlon from Elevate Golf out at Lake St. Louis. They've got a great training program and are really helping young players play better golf.
I thought the North Korean tech with Kim Jong-un being able to shoot a 38.
Here we go.
A 38. Jay, with
I didn't think
12,
I could get out of here without
12 holes in one.
Why did I say South Korea? I should have just said Korea.
You could have been. You opened it up for me.
I teed it up for you, man. Just keep crushing it. I love it.
Thanks, Jay. Have a great weekend, brother.
You guys too.
See you later. Jay Delsing on 101 ESPN. Was
He's
Kim
one of the
Jong-il? Who's the current one? Un or Il? Un. So Kim Jong-il was the great golfer.
He had like 39 holes in one, according to him.
Wow.
Yeah, he had 12 in one round.
He did not have them.
Incredible.
First time he ever played golf, he shot a 38.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that everybody's experience?
Kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, it's Un, and I have bad news. He's only 40.
Oh, Un is?
Yeah.
Little fella.
I was hoping he was older.
Coming up, AEW is going to have a pay-per-view event here in St. Louis this weekend, and we're going to talk to one of the big stars of AEW right now. Swerve Strickland is going to be in studio next on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals back in action, starting a series against the Brewers tonight. 7:15 first pitch. It's going to be Freddie Peralta, the righty for the Brewers, facing off against Kyle Gibson for the Cardinals. Peralta on the season 2-0 with a 2.55 ERA through 17 2/3. Kyle Gibson, on the other hand, with a 6.16 ERA and a 1-2 record so far. Coming up, it's a busy weekend, and you can catch the play-in tournament on the NBA right here on 101 ESPN tonight. It's Heat Bulls battling it out for that final spot starting at 5:30, and then Pelican King and the Kings battling it out in the West at 8:30. And St. Louis City SC is back in action. They play Sporting Kansas City tomorrow in Kansas City with a 7:30 kickoff, and the Battlehawks host the Memphis Showboats tomorrow morning at 11:30 a.m. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
The opening drive on 101 ESPN with Brooke Grimsley and Dan McLaughlin. I'm Randy Carricker, and All Elite Wrestling is in town at Chaffetz Arena this weekend, and we've got a pay-per-view for All Elite. For the first time, we're going to have a local pay-per-view, and one of the rising stars in All Elite Wrestling, Swerve Strickland, kind enough to join us in studio here on 101 ESPN. Swerve, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Thank you for having me, y'all.
We're excited about having you here in St. Louis. It's going to be fun. Tell us about what's going to happen on Sunday night.
Sunday night is myself versus Samoa Joe, the AEW World Champion, for the AEW World Championship main event headline. The first African-American actually going for the championship on pay-per-view. And if I win, I'll be the first African-American world champion in AEW's history. And I'm looking to make history and plant my name in the history books of not just AEW, but all pro wrestling.
That's awesome. And it's going to be an exciting event. Almost sold out, I believe, just 3 sections left. So it's going to be a very exciting event. So let's just start here. Why do you believe that All Elite Wrestling offers? What does it offer that you can't get anywhere else for those who aren't familiar with it?
I feel like we're the future of pro wrestling. We've been like that for the last 5 years. And I feel like we've always had the most cutting edge talent, and on top of just the fact that we got the most influx of international talent as well. You see, like, the women, the men from Japan, from Mexico, from Canada, from the UK, literally the absolute best in-ring talent from all these different countries. We have them, like, signed on as, like, exclusive talents here, but also able to, like, they're also able to go back to those countries and do their own thing, you know, but we can have them any time of the week, like, on our programs, whether it's Dynamite, whether it's Collision Rampage, you get to see that. And for me to be the world champion going after the world championship in the main event scene is like one of the main eventers, that's really high praise. And that's something I didn't think would ever happen in a million years, but it's like, wow, I'm like going to be one of the faces of the franchise. That's why the pay-per-view is called Dynasty on Sunday. And that's pretty much what we're building right now.
Who is your influences, or who are your influences in wrestling?
It's always been like Adam Copeland, who's now signed on with us ever since August of last year. Adam Copeland, who's formerly known as Edge, I've been looking up to that man since I was like just starting to wrestle like 15 years ago. That's one of the guys I studied for 15, 20 years. And now he's like one of my good friends and like brothers on the same company, share the same locker room together. He's amazing. Rey Mysterio was a big influence on me as well.
So, Swerve, in addition to having this burgeoning wrestling career, by the way, you're going to win the title on Sunday,
course.
right? Yeah. So I just want to
I ain't come out here for nothing.
Exactly.
I want to make that clear. But you've got a music career too, right?
Yes,
Tell us
sir.
what's going on with that.
Oh, man. Been doing music for about 4 years now. Put out 3 joint projects with my man Montezi. We have 3 albums out there, Swerve City. And I just put out my solo album last May. And You Couldn't Be Me had Grammy features on there, Grammy winning features. I have like Benny the Butcher featured on there, Juice from Flatbush Zombies, you know, my man Flash Garments over here. We're working on a project right now, Motion Sickness. We just finished like 5 tracks in one day, making 5 songs in one day. So I just locked in at the house and just like recorded for a whole weekend, and we got the whole project done in a whole weekend. So that's coming out very, very soon. So be on the lookout on that. Single coming out probably right after the pay-per-view, I would say. I feel like we're dropping soon. This man's been like on the writing team with Kanye West, been doing music for so many different artists, like with like Chris Brown and Eric Bellinger. So that's my guy right here. And so we are locked in, and we're making a lot of moves coming this next couple months to a year.
And the music is incorporated, right? When you enter the ring,
Yes.
we get whose house?
Yeah, yep, Swerve's house.
There we go.
So like, and if you look at the Titantron, that's our music video.
That's awesome. So this weekend, I have to ask you this. What is your signature move that fans can expect to see?
Oh, the Swerve Stomp, man. Like, if you were watching Dynamite this past week, you just saw me, like, do one single Swerve Stomp and take out, like, 9 people at one time, which I don't think has ever been done. I mean, that might be a Guinness Book of World Records. Maybe we need to check on that. But so that's what I just pulled off this Wednesday. And I've hit Samoa Joe with it before in the triple threat at Revolution. But I think this one is actually going to be the one to take the championship from him coming this Sunday.
All right, our text line says Samoa Joe is tough, one nasty dude. Not sure how he's going to win this match. You would say what to that?
Well, those are the same people that didn't think I could make it here in the first place. So
All right.
I don't want to be wrong twice.
Okay. And how did you get into wrestling? I mean, it's a unique path for all you guys to get to this level. How did you do it?
Honestly, I was in the military, fresh out of high school.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. And it was I was doing my military drills, but then when I came back to Pennsylvania, I was just like, man, I want to actually like pursue something. If I have the military always to back me up, or if I fail or something, I want to actually take a shot at one of my dreams. So moved down from Pennsylvania to Richmond, Virginia. Lived on my mom's couch for like a good year, but that next day I found a wrestling school, and that was in 2008, and it was just 25 minutes around the house and around the corner from the house. So I was just like, I'm going to try to pursue it. But my mom was always very supportive of the fact that she knew where I was. I wasn't out there doing anything wrong. I was like, as long as she knew where I was, she was okay with me doing anything. And it was a good thing that I was doing like something that was just going to take my life on a whole different path. And that's how I started.
So what branch of the military were you a part of?
Army Reserves.
Okay. Were you a military brat?
Yep.
Okay, so you were bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, I was born in Tacoma, Washington, and 2 months later moved to Germany. And I was there until I was about 8 years old.
All right, now with your military service, you're my favorite guy. I just want to let you know.
Appreciate
Swerve Strickland and All Elite Wrestling in town at Chaffetz Arena on Sunday night. The action at 6, the gates open at 5. And by the way, you can go to AEWTix, AEWTIX.com for tickets, AEWTix.com. Now, you're also throwing out the first pitch at the Cardinal game tomorrow
Yes,
night.
yes.
Have you ever done this before, Swerve?
I have. I've done it at the Miami Marlins.
Okay, and how'd you do?
I think it wasn't over the plate, but it was like a little slightly off. It would have been a ball.
Okay.
But, but it made it to the plate. It made it.
Aim about 2 feet over the catcher's head. And so it's an old Cardinal pitching coach. The day that I was going to do it, I hadn't had any advice. I said, what do I do? He said, aim high and let it fly. So just aim 2 feet over the catcher's head and let it fly.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny because like when I did it last time, they were like, oh, yeah, we'll give you a couple like warm-up pitches. And they were like, they just calling my name out on the field. I'm like, where's my warm-ups? I didn't have any warm-ups. So I was just like, I had a cold shoulder. I'm just like, all right, let me, and you can't really warm up when you're like, they're filming you walking out to the mound to take the pitch. So I was like, all right, here we go. So, but it made it to the plate, made it over the plate too. So.
And there will be a lot more fans out there compared to what you're experiencing in Miami. Any nerves going into it?
Maybe.
Just a little bit?
Maybe. We're going to do some practice throws tonight.
There we go.
just in case they don't give in to me in the morning.
Good. And if Samoa Joe was in the studio right now, what would you be telling him?
We'd probably be a fight right now. The last times I've seen him, we've thrown punches and he's blooding me up.
Good.
But everything I would say to you guys, I've said to his face on national TV. Like, I'm going to take his championship from him. And don't feel bad for losing to someone who's going to make history.
There you go.
Your name. So
Good.
That's all I got to say.
And by the way, Swerve, I wanted to bring this up. AEW is fronted by Tony Khan, the son of Shad Khan. Shad wanted to buy the St. Louis Rams and keep them here in St. Louis. If he would have gotten a hold of them, they never would have left. And those guys have real ties to the St. Louis area.
It's crazy because my favorite team was the St. Louis Rams.
Really?
Yeah,
Greatest show on turf?
Greatest show on turf on 2000. Yep. So It's crazy. If he would have bought them, I don't think I would have met Tony Khan because I lived in Florida and he's with Jacksonville Jaguars. So it's crazy how like those things line up. If this would have happened, who knows where I would be?
Right.
If that like little, butterfly effect of things.
For somebody that's never been to the events, what's the atmosphere like? And why? Convince me why I should buy a ticket to this.
Well, you like parties, right?
Sure.
The audience feels like a party while a wrestling event's going on.
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's a more I would say mature atmosphere. I wouldn't say it's not too explicit or anything like that, but it's a more mature atmosphere for like the teenagers to adults. It's like everybody's having a good time, having fun. They don't feel like their intelligence is insulted from what they're watching on the product. You feel like you're watching like athletes like going at it. You feel like you're watching like the Olympics of pro wrestling.
How's your body holding up after all these years?
Pretty bad, but I'm doing all right. Yeah. You find your ways to I still have bruised ribs from like 3-4 weeks ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's not easy.
No.
We're rooting for you to make history on Sunday night here in St. Louis, Swerve.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Swerve Strickland, he will be in action Sunday night at Chaffetz. Get tickets at aewtix.com. The doors open at 5. The pre-show starting at 6, and it'll be on pay-per-view from St. Louis, the first AEW pay-per-view event ever from St. Louis. That's Swerve, and we're going to come back with Take It or Leave It. Get your text in now to the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho!
Don't make Swerve do it. He just looked at you kind of like, what the hell's going on here?
I was enthused.
So when I go 399, we'll all do yo-ho together, okay, Swerve?
Oh, my God.
Here we go. 314-399, yo-ho! Thank you, my man.
I'm part of it.
Swerve Strickland. He's got this thing down. TIOLI next on 101 ESPN.
don't send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
It is time for TIOLI 314-399-9646. 314-399. Yo-ho!
We did
you
it
knew I
like
was
2
messing
times.
up, didn't you?
You did it 2 times before, so that's why.
I did.
Yo-ho.
Oh, there you go, Dan.
There you go.
All right, simple one. Okay. And the famed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Welcome to town, Robbie.
Yes.
He's visiting today. You called him Larry Nerd, Matthew?
That was one of the. There's like 9 nicknames out there. That was the other one I heard.
That was the other fun one.
Kareem to me is the
Kareem
best.
Abdul-Jabbar.
That's top.
Yeah, it's a really good one. Yeah, there's really good ones.
Somebody said Larry Blurred because of the the glasses.
Yeah, that's it.
Milk Chamberlain, College Jokic, Steph Blurry.
Steph Blurry, that was the one. That was the one.
Man.
Take it or leave it. The Billikens are in the NCAA tournament next year.
Ooh. I'm going to take that just because of the pieces he's bringing over. I'm very interested to see what else he'll be able to do. You have Gibson Jimerson coming back as well. There you go. Big game Gibby Jim is coming back.
By the way, big game Gibby Jim, who turned down UConn to come back to SLU.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder how much he would have played there.
I don't know. They're losing some guys.
Yeah, maybe so.
But I thought the notable thing when I heard that was right after when Tracy Wolfson asked Dan Hurley, how did you do it? He said, well, we go recruit NBA players and let them play. So that tells me something. If Danny Hurley's recruiting big game Gibby Jim, tells me that he must be pretty good.
Yeah. So take it or leave it. Did you guys see the beautiful renderings, by the way, that came out for Mizzou for the new football stadium? Take it or leave it. Mizzou is not only turning into a force in the SEC, but they have the potential to be a new powerhouse in the SEC with the way that they embrace NIL. Eli Drinkwitz at the helm, what he's building over there. Now, of course, basketball needs to turn things around a little bit, but I think that was a mulligan year for Dennis Gates and everything that he's doing. I really think that they are going to be a rising name, even more so in the national conversation with the new playoff format.
100%. I'll take that, yes. Our state athletic program, specifically the football team, the people that are building stadiums, our whole state, we're SEC all the way.
How do you not keep up with the Joneses in the SEC? You better be able to do that, and that means adding to your facility. And let's face it, after what happened last year in the bowl game, beating Ohio State, there's a lot of momentum going on with the football program. All right, take it or leave it. Josh Schertz, the head coach of SLU, made the most important hire so far in retaining Corey Tate.
I'll take that, yeah.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. Corey Tate brought in Jordan Goodwin, Yuri Collins, Terrence Hargrove, Javante Perkins. There's a lot of guys that he brought into the program.
And Jay Good visited Schertz the other day.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Yes.
So pretty cool.
And specifically, what are all those players?
Local kids.
And what Schertz comes out of here, he fills his staff up with a lot of guys who are new to this staff, who are new to this area. You got to get somebody who knows it, who has cachet.
Yeah, that was my point. Go get those local kids, and nobody has a better pipeline into the talent here in St. Louis than Corey Tate.
Now, he is Josh Schertz. He's in very good condition. But we have seen basketball coaches in the past that have gotten bigger. Take it or leave it. If he does, he'll be known as Puffy Shirts.
So coming up is
the text line, Dan. The text line, Dan.
Oh, yeah, let's get to the text line, Matthew.
Joke?
Got a rush hour
Seinfeld
reset.
joke. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
I was like, are you making
Matthew got it.
Jeremy Rutherford. We'll talk a little Battlehawks later, too.
Take it or leave it. If the
Kansas.
Blues miss the playoffs a third year in a row, Stillman has to move on from Army.
I don't think he has to, but I kind of think that they could have a parting of the ways. Although they aren't going to change much. They aren't going to be a Stanley Cup contender next season. They are not going to build themselves to be a Stanley Cup team. But I would think the next part of the ascent would be to make the playoffs again next year.
I would hope so, and especially with what they did this year. But he talked about it. We have a plan, and he said we present 3 different options essentially for Tom Stillman. Tom Stillman and the ownership group agrees that this is the path forward, and it would seem like Doug Armstrong would be the guy to lead that charge.
Yeah, I'm going to have to leave it just for the fact of based off the conversations yesterday. Dan, you mentioned the plan, but it seems like, of course, you don't like missing the playoffs this year, but talking to the players, Army and Bannister, they're happy with the growth that you were able to see, especially from the young players. And he mentioned a lot of the new players that will be coming in here soon to the organization at the franchise level.
Guys, I know that there are people listening that are very impatient. And I can tell you this, social media in January of 2019 was filled with people that wanted to fire Doug Armstrong. I can tell you this without hesitation because it's a fact. The best and smartest hockey people in the world, the people that hire the general manager for Canada for the Olympics, hire Doug Armstrong as their general manager.
He's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
He's really good.
On the way.
Yeah, you got a lot of talent coming.
Yeah. Speaking of that point, let's not get too hasty, but this texter doesn't care. Take it or leave it. Dalibor Dvorsky's the Blues' number 2 center next year.
Leave it.
I'm going to leave that.
No!
To start the season.
They're going to win 12 games if that's the case. You can't have that 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid be your number 2 center unless you're the Sharks and you're like, let's buy the farm and go for the number 1 overall pick.
Now, they do need to find a number 2 center, and Jeremy Rutherford, the Athletic, he has that. We've brought that point up a lot. They need to go find one, but that's not going to be easy to do. Where do you go find that?
I don't know where you do it unless you get some Doug Armstrong magic, which has happened, by the way.
In trade.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But again, this is the plan. I don't see them doing a lot of movement this summer. I mean, you try to find a second-line center. You try to find maybe a little defensive help. You know, it is what it is.
Yep. And perhaps if you sign Buchnevich, maybe you just spend that time acclimating him to being a center. Maybe that's the move.
I think position player-wise, that's maybe the biggest decision they have to make is moving forward is how long is Buchnevich going to be in the fold? And if not, then do you look at the trade deadline next year and say, let's try to get a haul as we continue the retool, not the rebuild, but retool of the St. Louis Blues?
Take it or leave it. Klaus gets the first STL City hat trick this weekend in Kansas City.
Oh, I'll take it.
That means it's 3 goals, Randy.
I know.
It's not
3. Not 1, not 2, 3.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
What else you got, Matthew?
You don't want a Christmas song?
What's that?
The crowd over at City Park.
Yeah.
When Klaus is entering the field.
Is his wife's birthday happening again? That's the real question.
Yeah, that's somebody's birthday to motivate him.
Good point.
Girlfriend's birthday.
I love the fans on the text line. Jesus, Randy. Take it or leave it. The young guys are holding both the Blues and the Cardinals back from winning with their slow development.
Leave that. You're talking about 20, 21-year-old people here. That's not slow development. That's just development.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it.
With Walker and Gorman, they haven't played to the level that they need to.
Yeah. But
the veterans haven't as well.
Yep.
Right.
So that's the other big point.
I mean, Aaron Judge didn't play in a major league game until he was 26. Yordan Alvarez didn't play in a major league game until he was 26. So you've got these guys that are 21, 22 that are playing at the major league level. Some of the best players in baseball, Barry Bonds didn't play in a major league game until I think he was 24 because he went to college.
Went to Arizona State and played it all the way through,
So I think we have to keep this in perspective a little bit. And same thing with Jake Neighbors, how long it took Robert Thomas to really reach elite status. He's heading into his 6th year next year. It doesn't happen overnight. These guys are not going to be finished products at the age of 21, 22.
I don't know how you can watch the Blues season and be like, yep, the issue this year was the young players.
No.
I don't know. That's a weird takeaway, in my opinion, from the Blues season. Take it or leave it. The Cardinals have to show up this weekend, or the season is a wash.
Oh, totally take it.
April 20th?
Yep. Yeah, they don't show up this weekend.
After 19 games, it could be just over.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
And I was thinking the exact same thing.
Why do we play the rest of the season is the
140 games, you might as well throw in the towel.
Yeah, we could. We can just hang out at the bottom of the standings. Let's try to get a pick. Try to get a draft pick.
Randy, no. No, that's not what's going on here. But I think it's safe to say we're all leaving that one.
White Sox are 3-15. Rockies are 4-15. Marlins are 4-15. So, but we got some more 9-10.
Take it or leave it. The rumors about the Blues trading Binnington this offseason are exactly that. Rumors. Don't believe it. It's clickbait.
Yeah, they're
Take
stupid.
it.
It's clickbait. Yep.
Yeah.
That was Elliot Friedman putting that out there. I think maybe it's something he wants to happen.
Yeah.
I think secretly he wants that to happen, but it does not seem that way.
Blues when you say that?
No.
I mean, Without Bennington, they're not even close to the playoffs.
And you know what? He's got enough cachet. He's a big enough name. He can call and get a hold of somebody at the Blues and say, you guys listening on Bennington? And they'll say no.
Yeah.
If you read the articles, he is very convinced that they're in full rebuild rather than retool mode.
Well, then he's stupid. And he shouldn't have the job that he has. He should get a new job at McDonald's.
He wants to tear it down.
What's wrong with McDonald's employees?
I love McDonald's and McDonald's employees.
Okay.
I'm not saying that he should. I'm saying that he could be more effective, perhaps, in a job at McDonald's than he is as a writer, and then maybe somebody from McDonald's could go and do his job as a hockey insider.
I have to read this one. This is the person's first ever text into our text line.
Oh, good.
Under this number, and this is what they texted. And God, this person's my hero. Take it or leave it. With SLU hiring Josh Shirts and George Mason's coach being Tony Skin, the new rivalry we marketed is as the Shirts versus Skins game.
Randy, is that you that just texted in? This is a little suspicious.
Take notes, everyone. Don't just hit us with a bunch of tweets. Sit back and wait for the perfect text, and then you hit us with it.
Oh, Rammer, if you're listening, Shirts and Skins. Oh, baby, Rammer will love that one.
I don't know. I don't even want to read another one. That's the best one.
Let's end with the champion on top. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thank you very much for your texts. We do appreciate them. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, seriously, how big is this April series for the Cardinals and the Brewers? That's next on 101 ESPN. 8:03 in St. Louis. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler with Brooke Grimsley and Dan McLaughlin. I'm Randy Carricker. Happy Friday. Great to have you with us. The Cardinals opening a 3-game series against the Brewers tonight at the ballpark. It's a 7:15 start, and the Cardinals will pitch Kyle Gibson. He'll be opposed by Freddie Peralta. And, of course, you can see all the action tonight on Bally. By the way, the rest of the weekend, Miles Michaelis tomorrow against D.L. Hall. And then Sonny Gray against, is it Colin Ray?
Colin Ray.
Colin Ray on Sunday. And the Cardinals are 3 games behind Milwaukee as we get going here to start this series. Milwaukee, I believe most people think a little bit better than expected to start the season, being first in the Central. With the Brewers being in first, and the fact that it is just April, how big of a deal is this series?
I think that it's still important because it's a big deal more for the Cardinals side, because the major difference between the Brewers and Cardinals right now is their offense. Right now, the Brewers' offense has been hot and currently among the leaders in all of Major League Baseball. Meanwhile, the Cardinals have been in the bottom third. They're currently 14th in the National League in batting average, on-base percentage, and slugging percentage. So for me, while it's a very big series, because obviously you're facing off against the division leaders, it's more about, can the Cardinals finally get out of their offensive funk that they're in?
Yeah, and if I'm Milwaukee, or at least following that team, I got to ask the question, how long can this last? With 12 players that appeared on their opening day roster for the first time, they've had 8 different pitchers that have started a game in the first 17. So if you can get them while they're hot, maybe they, come back down to earth as the season goes along, and that's one of the reasons I would look at it. They're 11-6 so far to start this season. The matchups, Freddie Peralta, he's going on an extra day's rest tonight. D.L. Hall was not good in his last start, 3 1/3. He allowed 3 home runs. And then you have Colin Ray. Colin Ray has 11 strikeouts to just 3 walks. So it should be an interesting series down at the ballpark.
And as we saw last year, things can get away from you in a hurry. I think it's big simply because you don't have as many division games. And if you get swept here and you're 6 behind Milwaukee, that's a big deal. We talk about how rough the start was last year. Cardinals are 9-10 after 19 games this year. Last year, they were 8-11 after 19 games. So it's not like they are dramatically better this year. And at some point, if the Cardinals are going to succeed this season, and they told us they plan on succeeding this season, they're going to have to go on a run. Now, it might be at the end of April, or it might be in the middle of May, might be at the end of May, right around June 1st. That's usually when I think a team has to kick in. But the fact of the matter is, if it does kick in for you, you don't want to get buried early. And this is the kind of series that can cause you to have the season kind of spiral away.
And that's the panic that you're starting to see set in right now. And I understand from fans, especially after what happened last season. And you saw, as you mentioned, Randy, how quickly things got away from the Cardinals because they weren't able to get off to a great start. And it just felt like it was a snowball effect. So you want to be able to break out of this. It's just something has to give with the veteran players here. You have to have your veteran guys. I'm talking about specifically about your positional players. You have to have Nolan Arenado to continue to stay hot. I know he's been hitting the ball harder lately, but something has to give with Paul Goldschmidt here. And also with Victor Scott II. Now, he's so talented. Do you start to sacrifice things maybe defensively? And it wouldn't be a complete sacrifice, I guess is the best way to phrase this, but offensively something has to change with the outfield.
I don't think you're doing anybody any good with him still being at the major league level. I understand that they don't really have anybody to replace him with, but Victor Scott is not being served himself by being up here, and he's not serving the Cardinals very well by being up here, simply because he's up here too early.
And you got to get something out of the center fielders, and I'll throw Ciani in there as well. Combined with Scott, they are 6 for 71. That's an .084 average. So you're getting nothing offensively from your center field spot. And, Brooke, as you were saying, what do you do with him? I think you wait until guys are healthy, and then at that point you start to make some decisions with him.
And I do think, though, that rather than allow him to just fall off the cliff, maybe you play Newt Barr, play Donnie in left, get Herrera behind the plate, and get Contreras DHing. There are moves that you can make where you replace Victor Scott's spot in the lineup, and it would appear to me, at least, that you would be more effective. I would much rather see that lineup that I just talked about without Victor Scott in it. And this is nothing against Victor Scott. I think he's going to be a real good major leaguer. I just don't think he's ready.
Yeah, I don't either. He's ready defensively.
Yeah, he is. Totally.
He's above average in that regard, but he's just not where it needs to be when you talk about offensively. And the Cardinals as a team are 24th or worse in every major offensive category. So we're talking about average, home runs, runs batted in, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS. And I went and took a look at what they're doing with runners in scoring position. They're hitting just 217. So they've got to get to the 3-run threshold too and beyond, because you were talking about the numbers, Randy, last season, where they are record-wise. They were 12-63 when scoring no more than 3 runs a year ago. You got to get to 3 or more runs offensively.
4 is absolutely the magic number offensively for the Cardinals.
Seems to be, right?
And it has been for a while. By the way, they went from 8-11 last year, 9-10 now. They went from 8-11 last year to 10-24. So this is where things started to fall off the cliff for last year's Cardinals, and hopefully they're able to withstand what they've got coming up here over the next couple of weeks. If you get to 34 games and you're at 500, I'm still fine with that. But like I said, at some point they're going to have to go on a roll, but you don't recover from 10-24.
And it's inside the division where you're going to do your damage. So I'm fine with you being 500, but you asked the question to start this segment, how important is the series? Now, again, we're only 19 games in for the Cardinals, but I have felt from day one that outside the division, it's a real thing. It's going to be very tough for this team to be above 500. I believe that. But I think inside the division is where you're going to have to make hay. And I can make a case for every one of these teams in the Central to win this division. So you got to do it head-to-head starting tonight.
You do. And you brought up the stat about runners in scoring position. I think another concern is because last year that was something that we were talking about as well, the situational hitting for the Cardinals. What is that? Is that something about preparation going into the game, or is it just more some of these players need to get hot at the right time, and it's just not happening at this moment?
Well, when you take Goldschmidt hitting 181, Gorman 191, Walker 180, those are the guys that you were expecting to drive in runs, and so they're not doing it right now.
And we should also point out that after this series against the Brewers, the defending National League champion Diamondbacks are coming to town. Then you go to New York, and the Mets are 10-8, and they're better, I think, than pretty much everybody
they're
thought
actually
they
playing
were
pretty well.
They are. And then you go to Detroit, and A.J. Hinch always has his team. If nothing else, they play clean baseball.
Yep.
Right? And then, fortunately, you get the White Sox here, but then you have the Mets in town. So for a team that is pretty average, I think that is it fair to say that 9-10 is pretty average? And I think that might be a stretch based upon those numbers you gave us offensively and in terms of runs allowed. I think this is, again, going to be a season where it's going to have to be like Whitey Ball. Like Ozzie said the other day, you're going to have to play games where ultimately the other team beats itself. The key for the Cardinals is going to be to not beat themselves.
What's surprising to me, and I thought they would do more of this, and I understand why. Their on-base percentage is 300. Okay? They've got 6 stolen bases this year, 5th from the bottom.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to generate offense, that's one of the ways to do it, but you have to get on base to do it. And let's just face it again. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt has to be Paul Goldschmidt for this team to win. Arenado needs to be Arenado. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out. When the middle of your lineup isn't producing, you're not going to win a lot of games.
Exactly.
I'm going to give you a number here. Hold on here. I was talking to somebody actually at the Fenton Bar and Grill about this yesterday.
Cha-ching.
Yeah. Best trash wings that you'll ever have.
Yeah.
Did you see the feisty redhead over there?
Kelly, the feisty redhead.
Yes.
Yeah, somebody actually came in the day before and said, "Are you the feisty redhead?" She said, and I was in a feisty mood, too. So Paul Goldschmidt, in his career as a hitter in the 2-hole, has an 880 OPS, 291 average, 880 OPS. The average not much different. As a number 3 hitter, 293. OPS goes from 880 as a number 2 hitter to 915 as a number 3 hitter.
Here's my concern, though, with all that, is that I go back to recency numbers. And if you look from the All-Star break of last year to what's going on this year, there's a big, big decline. And his spring training was not good. Again, Paul Goldschmidt needs to be Paul Goldschmidt.
And you just hope that it's not, of course, the age issue. And that's something that is surrounding that right now. He's 36 years old. You hope that Father Time hasn't caught up to him. But we've seen that is something that, of course, what's the saying? Father Time is undefeated. That's something that you can't escape from. And I hope that that's not the case here.
And with him specifically, and Arenado to an extent, Arenado prefers to hit in the 4-hole. So at the very least, why not try them in their comfort zones?
Yeah, maybe that's one where, you were talking about throwing names in a hat. Why not just go back to some of the recent success of different guys in the lineup where they've had that before? I don't think it's far-fetched to shake things up a little bit right now. Now, again, I'm giving it 4 to 6 weeks with some of these guys, and then at that point I really take a hard evaluation because that's you're talking about a month and a half of not having production, and you got to have it. And if they don't, they're not going to win a lot of games.
And let's throw this in there, too. What's wrong with it and Mason win second right now?
Yeah.
You got to look at doing that. I understand what Ollie's trying to do. I understand that when you have young players and they're having success, don't mess with them. I get that. But when you need a spark or you need something to happen, sometimes you got to go out of your comfort zone and move guys in the lineup maybe where you didn't want to starting the beginning of the season.
And then you go to the sorting hat. Like we did earlier.
Like we did. Yeah, we put together quite a lineup. Last year, by the way, Goldie hitting second, an 802 OPS, 837 hitting third, 802 second, 837 hitting third. Batting average last year, again, not much of a difference. 267 as the number 2 hitter, 272 as the number 3 hitter. But the notable thing is that his slug is better hitting in the 3-hole. Coming up next, we're going to talk to our buddy Joe Vitale for the last time this hockey season. And we'll find out what he's got going on this summer. I talked to Joey the other night at the game, and he's got some plans. Not really definitive, but he's got some plans.
I think the plans are lots of stuff with the kids.
I think you know what's coming. Joey V is next on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Will Grimsley here for your Redbird report. The Cardinals are back in town for their first divisional matchup of the year against the Brewers for a 3-game series starting tonight. Kyle Gibson will get the starting nod for the Cardinals, while Freddie Peralta will get the start for Milwaukee. Something to watch for. While Peralta is currently boasting a 2.55 ERA with 2 wins under his belt to start the season, he has a 5.86 ERA and 11 starts versus St. Louis, his worst against any NL Central rival. First pitch tonight will be at 7:15 against the division-leading Brewers.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
Hey, I want you to know about what's going on at Chesterfield Fence and Deck, where they do a fabulous job, not only on fences and decks, but with sunrooms and screen rooms, patios and pergolas. If you're in the market for an outdoor project, stop by Chesterfield Fence and Deck tomorrow and see their great facility in Chesterfield Valley. They're located at 620 Spirit Valley East Drive, and they have little representations of pretty much everything they do over at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. You can call them, and they'll show you what they do on a great video display. Their number is 800-300-4054. They're on the web at chesterfieldfence.com, and they've been in St. Louis for 56 years, family-owned, and a great company that has an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau. Everything that they do has at least a 5-year warranty, plus comprehensive material warranties that are also provided. And I got my fence from Chesterfield Fence and Deck, and I can tell you it's been a great product, and you'll love everything you get from Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mention this show, mention Randy Carricker, and get 20% off your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Again, give them a call, 800-300-4054. Find them on the web, chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
views things a little differently. Just imagine how he looks at hockey. Whoa! This is The View from Vitale, brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
Our analyst for Blues hockey here on 101 ESPN is Joe Vitale. There is a joevitale.com, and if you go to this website, you find out that Dr. Joe Vitale is a world-renowned author, speaker, and coach who helps you manifest anything you want in every area of your life. Joey V, did you know that there was a joevitale.com that can help you manifest anything you want in your life?
Randy, good morning. Matter of fact, I have. He has a very famous line. I'm sure some people can relate. It goes along the lines of something like this. I mean, I'll probably butcher a little bit, but a great goal should excite you a lot and scare you a little. Did I butcher that, or is that pretty bang on?
That's pretty bang on right there, brother. Yeah.
Okay. What's the exact verbiage, I guess?
Let me go down to it here. Hold on. I just left the area. I'm sorry, but it's pretty close.
It's pretty close, yeah. So a great goal should excite you a lot and scare you a little. Now, I didn't know that before I had kids. I would almost argue that having kids should scare you a lot and excite you a little, right?
Yeah, you nailed it. A goal should scare you a little and excite you a lot.
That's it. So you should have a little bit of fear. I always talk to the young youthful hockey players that I coach around town. I'm at a volleyball tournament for my daughter up in Philadelphia, and I ask my kids all the time, "How you feeling?" And they say, "I'm really excited, but I'm also a little nervous." I say, "That's perfect. That's perfect, because that means that the goal you're heading into is scaring you just enough or it's big enough."
Joey, I'm looking at the website right now. I don't know how you're able to juggle all of this with hockey and also being a world-renowned doctor. You have great reviews, by the way. But what is your summer about to look like during the off-season now? Busy, I'm sure, with kids.
It's busy, Brooke. There's a Dr. Joe Vitale. There's also a drummer named Joe Vitale.
Yeah,
I think he's from like the 70s or I don't even know. Randy, he may be more, you may understand the band. I think it was a little bit before my time, but he's got the long curly hair. And so I think if you ever Google my name, I think it comes drummer first, author, and then the little radio guy. I'm usually in the third pecking line. But to tell you what, the summer's on now. People call this time off. This is time on for me. I'm in Philadelphia right now, and we landed at about 3 a.m. right after the Dallas Stars game. I went right over to the airport, hopped on a flight with my daughter to go to Philadelphia. She's got a tournament up here because, as any player will tell you, I think it was a player just the other day. It wasn't Klingberg, it wasn't Silverberg. It was Jeff Carter. They asked Jeff Carter, what does your retirement look like? And he said, "I'm excited to be a dad," and that's what the off season is for me. It's wrangling all the kids, helping my wife where I can, and just being a part of their lives that you miss so much of. It's a short job when you look at the whole year. It's only 6-7 months. But it is so packed where you do miss so much. I'm looking forward to catching up with the kiddos.
Hey, Joey, I just want to go back to that quote from the lesser Joe Vitale for a moment, because there's another motivational speaker talking about goals. His name is Peter LaFleur, and this is what he had to say about goals.
I found that if you have a goal, that you might not reach it. But if you don't have one, then you are never disappointed. And I got to tell you, it feels phenomenal.
Peter LaFleur. Right when you said the name, I knew where this was going.
So you have differing ideas of what goals are.
It's true. It's true. And man, that is a great quote right there. I don't even know how to. There's nothing to say. I mean, there's just nothing to say after that right there. I'm sure that some people relate to that goal a little bit, because you're right. At the end of the day, you don't reach it, there's nothing to feel bad about.
Well, Joey, I'm sure you got something to say about the Blues season. How would you summarize what you saw this year?
You know what, Dan, I tell you what, to me, it was a positive year. And I'm not saying that because, this is the team that's had my back and certainly employs me. I really do. I see the nuts and the bolts and the ins and outs of this group. I've been around them all year. You're looking around the league at a Pittsburgh Penguins team that just missed. They're in trouble. They got old guys. They don't have a goaltender. Even looking at the teams that did sneak in, the Washington Capitals. Again, what's going to happen in 2 years when Alex Ovechkin moves on? They still have a goaltender situation. TJ Oshie's not getting any younger. Some of these teams they're in bad shape. Look on the flip side, the New Jersey Devils. They just ended up missing this year. They have a massive goaltender problem. So you look at the issues that the St. Louis Blues have. To me, they're fixable, they're correctable, and they can happen almost overnight. You look at them. They did miss, but they have a young core. They had all their young guys, for the most part, take a huge step this year. Robert Thomas is a bona fide number one center in the league now, and his defensive game really surprised a lot of people. You have two goaltenders, maybe the best goaltending tandem in the National Hockey League right next to the Boston Bruins, and that's something that, quite frankly, teams just desperately want so bad. So you look at all the things. You look at the way Zachary Bolduc, to me, has basically put himself in ink on that top six coming into camp next year. Jake Neighbors, the most improved player. He is now an NHL regular that is going to possibly score 30 goals next year. It's a young group. It is a group up and coming. I think that Braden Shen is going to be one more year seasoned as a captain. I think you bring in a couple of veteran pieces to help Braden out about the culture of this team a little bit. And all of a sudden, I think this is a team that is going to turn this thing around very, very quickly. So for all the reasons noted, yes, you want to get in. You want to sneak in every single year. They were right there to the very end. Game 80, a lot of people writ them off, I think, about 2 months ago. But they made it to Game 80 before they eventually were, removed from the playoff picture. So all things considering, a couple quick fixes, a Kyrou getting a little hotter, a little bit longer next year, maybe a captain and Braden Shen not going through a couple dry spells he went through, and you're winning more games, and you're 2 or 3 wins away from sneaking in. So to me, at the end of the day, I think the Blues fans are disappointed, and I totally understand it. But I also look at this team as a very, very bright future ahead.
Hey, Joey V, on Sunday when Chaser was in, and by the way, congratulations, your son had his first communion, is that correct?
Yeah, Bodie, my third son, he made his first communion, so Chaser subbed in really quickly, and I was making a beeline for the third period, and I texted him, hey, I'm on my way, and then he called me out on the air when they came out of break and said, hey, I can't believe Joe's coming down curves. Tell him to turn the car around. So I literally flipped the UE around, right? I got off at Hampton, went right back to 44 West, and jetted back to be with my son. So it was great. But, yeah, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, Chaser just fill in for me.
No problem. One of the things that he said was that this team, and you kind of referenced it there, they need a high character, high production people, and that includes a number 2 center and a gritty defenseman. And we're not talking about another number 1 center or 1A, but you need to find that guy that Braden Shen was, and he's got a lot of miles on him. He's older. He's probably not the number 2 center you're looking for now, but what Braden Shen was 3-4 years ago.
I would 100% agree. And then, I touched on it briefly, and I'm back Chaser on that. I think you need, from a defenseman standpoint, you end up losing a Robert Bortuzzo. You bring in, let's say, like a Josh Manson type, for example. I know he's locked up in Colorado, but someone with some grit, someone with some personality. I think this team could use a little personality. I think they lost a little bit with Perron leaving, then, of course, Pat Maroon leaving. I think they can use a little personality, number one. And then the second thing is, you bring in a solidified veteran player that helps Braden Shen along about, hey, this is the way we play. This is the way we do things. When I was playing, it was Matt Cook. I'll never forget the first optional skate I took when I was 3 years in. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm taking the option. He goes, no, you're not. You're 3 years in the league. Get back out there, work on something. You need players like that. As much as I hated Matt at the time, you need players like that to kind of help with that culture. This is the way we're going to do things. I think they lost a lot of that culture with Ryan O'Reilly. He was out there all the time wrangling young kids, and Braden Shen's doing the same thing, but he needs a little bit of help. I think that's where you bring in that centerman.
And Joe, I don't want to keep going back to the future. We brought back Sundqvist, we brought back Blais, and we have these romantic notions about the 2019 team. But Joel Edmondson is a free agent.
Joel Edmondson is a free agent. I would love to see that grittiness back. We'll see how he does in Toronto, number 1. And here's another one here for you, Randy, and I really hope it happens, David Perron. I think, his Red Wings, they end up missing. He's a UFA once again. Is it possible that Doug Armstrong signs him one more time? I think that's got to be some sort of record. But that's a personality, a competitive kid that I think we let go, unfortunately, a few years back, and I would love to see him back in a Blues uniform.
What about Drew Bannister? That was another big topic yesterday with the exit interviews and the Blues end-of-season press conference. And obviously, Doug Armstrong mentioning that he is one of the candidates, but it's a very small list. He wouldn't reveal who the others were, of course. What did you think about Drew Bannister and the job that he did stepping in mid-December?
I think Drew did a great job. I think that he was certainly a different voice I think that the biggest thing he did was he helped the power play. I mean, just from a logistics standpoint, from a number standpoint, analytically, the power play got better. You know, and this was a situation. I remember talking to Kevin Hayes when Chief got fired. He said, "Listen, Joe, if we get 6, 7, 8 more power play goals, that's a difference of 4 more wins, and then we're in a completely different spot." And he wasn't wrong, because that's exactly what happened when Drew Bannister came on board. The power play ratcheted it up there a little bit, and they started to win a few more games. You know, and I think that with Drew Bannister, I think he just simplified things. You know, I think putting Jake Neighbors in front of the net, putting Oscar Sundqvist in front of the net on that power play, and just having a more of a simple approach, throwing pucks there, and they got a lot of fortunate bounces down the stretch of that season, and the power play certainly improved. I think Drew has done a wonderful job for himself. I mean, this was a team, if you remember, for the last 2 years before Drew Bannister took over, they were just flirting with 500. They were 2 below 500, then they were 2 above. Then all of a sudden they'd be 3 above, and they would fall back down. We couldn't get over that 3-game above 500 threshold for the last 2 seasons. It actually took the 13th try when they were 3 games above 500 to eventually get to 4 games above 500, and all happened under Drew Bannister. And, of course, we all see how the Blues end up finishing the season well above 500. So, to me, I think there were some massive steps for him. Is he going to be the head coach next year? I don't know. But I promise you one thing, he will be in the National Hockey League somewhere. He is in a position where he would be an amazing assistant coach in the National Hockey League. I think his years of the American Hockey League are over, because he came in with so much poise, just a wonderful presence, always thanked the media when he came in and when he exited. The players loved him. He had a very stoic approach on the bench. I think players respected him. So I think he's going to be coaching this league a very long time.
Jordan Kyrou, Joey, had an interesting season. He was kind of snake-bitten at the beginning and then finished with a flurry of goals to an extent. So how would you look at his season and the way that things played out for him?
I think when you look at it at the end of the day, Dan, the points were there, right? I mean, at the beginning of the year, if you said, hey, Jordan Kyrou is going to get 70-plus points, you're like, perfect. You'll take that year. I mean, 80's pushing it. 80 in an ideal world, yes, but he's still very young. Right, he's still got a long time to go on this contract he's under. So I think that most people, if you look at it in a bird's eye view of the whole season, you look at his point production, and obviously his plus minus improved quite a bit too. You would say, okay, I would take that year. But if you break it down, you know, not to get too nitpicky here, but I think one thing about Kyrou's game, you would like to see more balance. You'd like to see it more evened out. You know, you mentioned the last 10 to 12 games. Yes, he went on a heater. He went on a heater against, you know, some Ducks teams and some Sharks teams and some Blackhawks teams, and you know, in a meaningless game down the stretch, a couple of them. You know, and you're happy with that. But I think that for Kyrou on some of those stretches, he's got to figure out a way, and this is part of growth, right? It's a way to minimize those valleys. You know, Ryan O'Reilly, I'll never forget a conversation I had with him, because he was Mr. Consistent when he was playing for the St. Louis Blues, and still is for that matter. And we just had a really wonderful conversation. We're on the way out to Nashville when he was part of the Blues, actually. And he talked to me about the difference between great players in this league and the elite players. And the biggest difference, he said, if you really look at their seasons, when they have a bad game, which they all do. I mean, it's not a perfect game. It's a fast game, and things kind of go out the window pretty quickly. But when the elite have bad games, they figure out a way to get up that mountain very quickly. They don't allow those valleys to last too long. You know, you see players, you know, they go on these 5, 6, 7 game droughts, and you don't notice them. And then all of a sudden they go on like on a 10, 12 game heater, right? When you go on those heaters, that's to be expected. That's why you're being paid that money, right? But when you play 8 great games and then you fall off and have a bad game in Ottawa, for example, if you have a back-to-back against the Rangers the very next night, how quickly do you get back to your game? And I think for Kyrou, as a part of his growth moving forward, they would like to see those valleys that he drops into. You want to shorten those valleys. You can't stay in the valley that long if you're going to be an elite player in this league. And I think that that's certainly the biggest area for him that needs to be shown some growth.
Hey, Joey, one last thing before we let you go, and congratulations to your daughter for playing in Philadelphia this weekend. When you were 5 years old, Jaromir Jagr played his first pro hockey game with the Pittsburgh Penguins. You grew up, you graduated from CBC, you went to Northeastern, you had an NHL career, and here we are, you're 6 years into a broadcasting career, and Jaromir Jagr is still playing pro hockey. He played in the Czech League at the age of 52 last night.
I can't. I really, it was hard enough. It was hard enough when I played against him. He was a part of actually the Philadelphia Flyers, where I'm at right now. when I came into the league, he was a part of the Flyers, and I remember just thinking, like, I can't wait to get a lick on this guy. Tony Granato, my assistant coach, was like, if you catch him with his head down, like, he's the guy you target. And Tony was smart because I just got called up, and he knew that was the kind of game I played. He was coming around the corner. I'll never forget it. Randy, as long as I live, we're in Philadelphia. It was I think it was game 1 or game 2 of that playoff series, and I caught him with his head down, and I had so much steam. I was going so fast, and he was flat-footed. I'm like, I am going to tune this guy up. I still remember the feeling like, oh, my God, this is going to explode, and the fans are going to lose it. I made contact with Jeremy Rutherford. It was like I hit a concrete column. I went flying back, I would say about 4 or 5 feet. He didn't budge. He still had the puck, and I'm pretty sure he made like a primary assist on the goal right behind me. I mean, it was completely embarrassing. And that's what people don't realize about Jeremy Rutherford. As good as he was, as skilled as he was elite as elite gets. But, man, he was solid. You just couldn't bump him off the puck. So for him to be playing this age, yeah, it's crazy. But at the same time, for how solid of a player he was and how strong he was on his skates, you don't really need to move that fast if you're that solid. It's like Pat Maroon on steroids. I mean, that's how big this guy is. So all the kudos to him. I don't think mentally or emotionally or physically at any level I could end up keep playing at this age, but you got to respect the fact he's still doing it.
Amazing. Joey, have a great weekend. Have a great summer. Thanks so much for joining us every Friday. We appreciate it. There's going to be a time during the summer where I'm just going to send you a text and say, hey, can you come on? And I'm going to force you to give us 15 minutes because you're great.
Hey, you do that any Friday, every Friday. I love talking to you guys. I love your guys' show and the way you bring it to the people every day. And it's always a pleasure. And you guys have a wonderful summer. And please don't ever be afraid to bother me. I love small talking and hot stoving with you all.
Love it. Thanks, Joey. See you later.
Thank you, guys.
That's the great Joe Vitale with us on 101 ESPN.
We are
Yager, didn't he score last night?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
At the age of 52.
Wow.
Pat Gordie Howe is the oldest pro hockey player ever.
Did they ever find his bobbleheads, by the way?
Yes.
I think they did, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad that mystery was solved.
Yeah. Coming up, we've got a fight, and if you would like to, we do need a fighter, right, Matthew? Okay, we need a fighter. So you can text in 314-399-9646. Yeah, you got something to say?
You seem to ask that more often after you win 3-0 the day before.
Just wondering. 314-399-9646. 314-399.
Yo-ho!
I did it earlier.
That's it? Just one?
Yep, just one. That's what you get.
Okay, text in and put your name in the word fight, and maybe Matthew will pick you to fight me next on 101 ESPN.
Has your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to this Tuesday night's Budweiser Bash for Cardinals versus Diamondbacks. It's the first Budweiser Bash game of the 2024 season and features a limited edition bobblehead giveaway featuring former Cardinals pitcher Jeff Suppan. Keep listening to 101 for your chance to win a 4-pack of free tickets and get all the details for this season's series of Budweiser Bash cards games now at cardinals.com/promotions.
But how about the NBA play-in tournament?
In today's fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections with the audience can really be a daunting challenge for any business. But what if there's a place where connections aren't just made, but nurtured for growth? Enter 2060 Digital, our sister company backed by a 100-year-old media empire just like 101 ESPN. At 2060 Digital, they have every idea that you could ever imagine to make your digital and social media life easier. They have experts in the field that are going to make it so easy for you to get out and advertise online or with your website, so you can find more strategic ways to reach and engage your audience. Look no further than 2060 Digital, with 12 years of expertise, they specialize in simplifying digital marketing and make it easy for you and your staff. If you want to maximize what you do digitally and on social media, get in touch with 2060 Digital at 101ESPN.com/2060 Digital and propel your business forward.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals back in action after a travel day. They face off against the Milwaukee Brewers with 7:15 first pitch in Game 1. It'll be Freddie Peralta for the Brewers. Peralta on the season 2-0 with a 2.55 ERA. He faces off against Kyle Gibson for the Cardinals. Gibson sitting with a 1-2 record and a 6.16 ERA to start the season. Also, it's a big weekend, and it starts right here on 101 ESPN tonight as the play-in games finish off for the NBA. It's the Heat and the Bulls, 5:30, Pelicans and Kings at 8:30 as they look to grab those last spots in their respective conferences. St. Louis City SC is at Sporting Kansas City tomorrow with a 7:30 kickoff there, and the Battlehawks host the Memphis Showboats down at the Dome tomorrow with an 11:30 a.m. kickoff. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke alongside Danny Mac, Randy, and Matthew Rocchio, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is DJ. DJ, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
We're doing great over here. It's a beautiful outside, beautiful Friday, and also maybe you have a chance here to upset Randy. He's been on a kind of like a tear here lately. Wouldn't you say that, Dan? Well, he always is, but especially here lately.
He's on a heater.
He
is on a heater. So away we go here with DJ.
You ready for question number 1, DJ?
Yes, I am.
Okay, who is the most recent hitter in Major League Baseball history to top the 150 RBI mark, doing so in 2007? Is it Ryan Howard, Manny Ramirez, or A-Rod?
Let's go A-Rod.
Is that your final answer, DJ?
Yes, it is.
All right, question 2. Who is the only defenseman in NHL history to win the Art Ross Trophy as the league's leading scorer? Is it Erik Karlsson, Bobby Orr, or Al McInnes?
Bobby Orr, final answer?
All right, on to question 3.
For just the second and third time this century, we saw NHL players hit the 140-point threshold. Those skaters were Nathan MacKinnon and who else? Is it Connor McDavid, Steven Stamkos, or Nikita Kucherov?
Go Nikita Kucherov. Final answer.
Who leads all Blues coaches with 34 total playoff wins? Is it Joel Quenneville, Scottie Bowman, or Craig Berube?
Scottie Bowman. Final answer.
All right, let me go grab Randall and find out how this fight unfolds.
How are you feeling, DJ?
So.
Oh, whoa! That was a shriek. So you feel pretty good or about it?
Thank you, Dana.
Yeah, I could see it going either way. I have no idea, honestly.
You never know, and you might catch Randy Kierker lagging on a Friday, but then again, he has already demolished his bag of grapes that I saw him leave the room with. So they were here and then they're gone. Randy, say hi to DJ.
DJ, good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm thankful to be playing and thankful to be listening.
Well, we appreciate that. We're thankful to have you.
Ready for question number 1, Randy?
Ready, Brooke.
Who is the most recent hitter in Major League Baseball history to top the 150 RBI mark, doing so in 2007?
2007, more than 150 runs batted in. Probably not Miguel Cairo.
Why not?
Yeah, just probably not.
Okay.
150 in 07. So who was... Okay, I have an idea here. I have a couple of ideas, actually. 2007. So I'll do the lifeline. Brooke.
Okay. Ryan Howard, Manny Ramirez, or A-Rod?
Ryan Howard had a pretty monster year in 07. I'm going to go with him.
Final answer, Randall?
Yeah, I think he might have hit, a bunch of home runs too, right? Oh, yeah, I think he was the MVP. I'll go with Ryan Howard. Yes, sir.
Question 2, who is the only defenseman in NHL history to win the Art Ross as the league's leading scorer?
It almost has to be Bobby Orr. I will go with Bobby Orr. Dan is my final answer.
All right, question 3.
For just the second and third time. You don't sound excited, Dan.
Oh, I'm so excited.
You're pumped.
I am.
Question 3. For just the second and third time this century, we saw NHL players hit the 140-point threshold. Those skaters were Nathan MacKinnon and who else?
140-point threshold?
Yes.
Kucherov from Tampa Bay, 144.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready for question 4?
Yes, sir.
Who leads all Blues coaches with 34 total playoff wins?
34 total playoff wins. Well, unfortunately for Scottie Bowman, we didn't have as many rounds back in the day when he was going to the finals on a regular basis. And we didn't win a Stanley Cup game under Scottie Bowman. So he's probably only at, 4, 8, 12, 6. So he's not near 34.
Okay.
I'm thinking, well, it's definitely between Q and Hitch. And Q got us to a conference final. Hitch got us to a conference final. Q was here many more years than Hitch. Hitch was here like 7. Q was here for about 10. So I am going to go, even though the Blues got knocked out in the first round in 2000 after they won the President's Trophy, I am going to go, Daniel, with Joel Quenneville, despite that 2003 flu season.
All right. That means we got to go to a tiebreaker really quickly. The rules here, I'm going to read out the question. We're going to give Randy a moment to write down his answer. Then, DJ, we will get your answer audibly, and then Randy can say his answer and confirm what is on the paper. Do you understand those rules, sir?
Jacksonville.
Oh, sorry. Do you understand those rules? My bad. All right, Randy, are you ready?
Yes, sir, I'm ready.
All right, we learned a couple fights ago that Mr. October is also Mr. Strikeout. How many times did Reggie go down at the plate to lead the league all time in strikeouts? Mr. October, also Mr. Strikeout, the all-time MLB career leader in strikeouts. How many times did he go down at the plate to lead the league? All right, and
how many times did he lead the league, or
how many times did he go down? How many times did he strike out in his career?
Okay, good. So this number is sensible.
Okay. What is your guess, DJ?
I have no clue. 1,000.
All right. We have a winner in today's fight.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
The Fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
All right, DJ, I'm sorry. He struck out 2,597 times. Randy Carricker guessed 1,594. You guessed 1,000. So he gets you today in the tiebreaker. Thank you so much for joining the fight and joining the show today, DJ.
Yeah, no problem.
Great job, DJ.
Yeah.
That was a good fight.
What were the answers? Let's get the answers quick.
All right, the answers are Alex Rodriguez was the last one to top 150. He hit 156 in 2007. Ryan Howard had 149. Who's the only defenseman in NHL history to win the Art Ross? It is, in fact, Bobby Orr. He did it twice. Second and third time this century, we saw NHL players hit the 140-point threshold. It was McDavid a few years ago. Nikita Kucherov was the league leader this year, and Nathan McKinnon just got there with 140 this year. And, of course, Joel Quenneville at 534 wins, 34 losses, the all-time leading winner in total wins for the Blues in playoffs.
All right, there you go. We've got the Battlehawks in action in town tomorrow morning, 11:30, and we're going to talk to their offensive tackle, Jaryd Jones-Smith, next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN.
There he is. Dan McLaughlin, Randy Carricker, great to have you with us on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. The Battlehawks take on the Memphis Showboats tomorrow at the Dome, and last year's All-XFL left tackle, Jaryd Jones-Smith, joins us now on 101 ESPN. Jaryd, thanks so much for taking some time with us this morning. How you doing?
I'm good, Randy. I'm good, Randy. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're honored to have you with us. Well, let's start with this. People are calling you the cardiac kids because your offense steps up late. Why is it that the Battlehawks are so good offensively in the late going?
Honestly, I wish I had an answer for you, but, we have a very strong veteran presence, and, when crunch time is all around, we step up when it matters most. We get it done, and we practice situational football every day. Coach Beck makes sure we practice 2-minute at least twice a week. Different situations, down a touchdown, need a field goal, tie game. So always good competition between the offense and the defense, and we push each other. So as an offense, we step up when it matters most, and same thing for our defense.
Jaryd, how excited are you to be back home this weekend? Of course, we have to talk about that home opener. Over 41,000 fans in attendance over at the Dome. What was the feeling just looking around and seeing all the fan support and knowing that you're coming back to that?
It's freaking electric, you know. That's one of the things I look forward to about coming back to the Battlehawks this year. Was just being able to run out in St. Louis and hear and see all those fans, because, you know, without them, it's just another game. You know, the fans make the game special. You know, the interactions with the fans, knowing that the fans look forward to coming to every game, and they bring that energy, because that's what helps keep us going. And, you know, it's like having a 12th man out there on defense, you know. So it's electric, you know. I love it. I can't wait to go back this weekend, you know. I'm looking forward to it.
Jaryd, I didn't realize this, but you have an ongoing chess game with your mom. Did you know that the Chess Hall of Fame is right here in St. Louis?
I actually did not know that, no.
You need to stop by.
Oh, I most definitely will. I'll definitely make a trip. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's right here in St. Louis, Central West End. It's awesome. How did you get involved with chess and this ongoing game with your mom?
Well, I got involved in chess. I want to say back in like 4th grade. My school had a chess club, and I don't remember why, but I decided to join it, and I just fell in love with it. It's a thinker's game. It's a strategy game, and it's one of those games where you got to stay a couple steps ahead of your opponent and be able to try to get into their mind. And it's an amazing game. I fell in love with it, and me and my mom, she's just as competitive as I am. She hates losing. And she's probably one of the only people that when she beats me, she knows how to rub it in my face. So,
how long has this game been going on? Is it never ending?
Never ending. You know, every time I go home and I'm spending time with my mom, and we have some free time, and it's just, we got a day where we're not doing anything. You want to pull the chessboard out? And yeah, it's crazy. You know, I bought her a Harry Potter chess set a couple years ago for Christmas, and yeah, we play. I think just about every chess set we bought, we played a good 3-4 games, and it always ends in a draw.
I love that. So I also hear that you are the team's unofficial DJ. So what are you putting on your playlist? What is pumping up the guys that you're putting out there?
Oh man. You know, we got some Bossman D-Lo, we got Future, Metro Boomin, a little Playboy Cardi, you know, a little bit of everything, old school, new school. You know, as a team DJ, you got to understand who your guys are and what they like to listen to. So a lot of it, sometimes I get suggestions, you know, I'm like, hey, if there's certain songs you want to hear, text them to me, let me know. I'll make sure I play them. But for the most part, some Bossman D-Lo is going to be on there, some Future, some Drake, Playboy Cardi. Those are probably going to be like the top 4. Then, you know, there's going to be some Jimmy Wapple in there. Shout out to my Pittsburgh guys. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of music from everywhere. So.
Hey, Jaryd, another St. Louis tie here. Dan mentioned the chess. Metro Boomin is a St. Louis guy. The Cardinals are going to have Metro Boomin night coming up next month. He went to high school here in St. Louis, and right after high school went down to Atlanta and started producing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So I actually knew he went to school in Atlanta because one of my friends went to Spelman, and she actually I don't know if she know. I know she knows who he is, but I don't know if she knows him that well. But I didn't know he was from St. Louis.
Yeah.
There's a lot. You can also put Sexy Red on there, and SZA is originally from St. Louis as well. There's a lot that you can add to the St. Louis. And, of course, we have to mention Nelly, but you knew that.
Well, definitely knew Nelly's on there. Listen, I always had to get I'd always put some Nelly on, especially during the weeks when we coming home. So I try to put some Nelly on during the week for practice, so that way everybody know, hey, we going back to St. Louis. We finna turn up. So, but Sexy Red, I knew she was from St. Louis. I didn't know SZA was from St. Louis. I did not know that. And I have a huge crush on SZA. That's one of my celebrity crushes.
There we go.
Very cool. Hey, Jaryd, I want to ask you about your college days. When you were practicing against Aaron Donald, you're a freshman, you're a redshirt freshman, and you guys are practicing against Aaron Donald. Did you know then what he was going to be? Were you saying, oh, man, this guy's going to be a problem for everybody he ever plays against?
Yes. Freshman year, coming in as a 17, 18-year-old, trying to block him, was freaking unbelievable. But it taught me a lot. It taught me what it is to be a competitor and how to push yourself. So I loved it. You know, a lot of people were scared to go to line up against him. I loved it. You know, I love the challenge. I never backed down from a challenge. And, you know, it was probably one of my favorite players that I got to go against and know while I was in school, because him being a Pittsburgh guy, he always came home. And there was no better feeling than the year he left and went to the Rams, and we came back for camp that year. And the scout came, walked up to the O-line coach, was like, "Yeah, nobody can block this dude." So it made our whole O-line room that year feel a lot better, knowing that, okay, it's not just us that can't block this man. But nah, I absolutely love Aaron. He's a great dude, great role model. You know, my time in Pittsburgh, the years, like even when he left, he would come back, work out with dudes. You know, it was just always cool to work out with him, talk to him, and just see what makes him great, see what makes him tick. So I absolutely loved it. Like I said, great guy. He had a hell of a career. Yeah.
He was awesome. Hey, Jaryd, we're looking forward to tomorrow. The Battlehawks taking on Memphis. Can't wait to see you do your thing at left tackle tomorrow, and have a great weekend. Come away with a victory, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk again.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it, guys.
Thank you, Jaryd.
Thank you.
Jaryd Jones-Smith, the Battlehawks left tackle, with us on 101 ESPN.
Oh, he has to take a trip over the chess club, as you mentioned, Dan. That is so cool over there, and maybe he can bring his mom, and they can continue their battle.
That would be fantastic.
You guys been there?
Yes, I have.
So you've been there. How about you, Randy?
I have not been inside, no.
Really?
It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like chess, it's a educational trip for sure.
I'm sure I would like chess more if I was smarter.
Randy,
Probably.
you could do
for
it. I
smart
believe in
people.
you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, I believe in you.
Brooke believes in me. Coming up, we've got a quick rush hour reset here on 101 ESPN.
It's baseball season, and what's the best thing to do while you're watching your Cards play? It's to put in an entry on Underdog Fantasy's newest Pick'em product. Right now active in Missouri, it's Pick'em Champions. You just select 2 to 5 players from at least 2 different teams, select higher or lower on the player stat projections, pick your entry fee, and then you're going to be entered in a game alongside other underdogs. As long as you hit your entry, you're walking away with your win, which would have happened yesterday for me if Ryan Pepio just would have allowed more than one stinking earned run. All our hits across that Rangers offense worked, and so we're going to build an entry today, and we're going to do it with the same mindset we had yesterday, which is we're just going to take entries against the White Sox in the A's lineup. So right off the bat, we're going to build an entry around just going against the White Sox and the A's because they're not very good baseball teams. The Phillies are playing the White Sox. We're going to take Spencer Turnbull higher than 16.5 pitching outs. We're going to take Trey Turner higher than 1.5 total bases. And on the other side, facing off against the A's, Tristan McKenzie. He's gotten rocked in 2 of his starts, but the one he hasn't was against the White Sox. He's good against bad teams. We're going to take Tristan McKenzie lower than 2.5 earned runs allowed. Freddie Peralta higher than 16.5 pitching outs against the Cardinals, and it really boosts it up. The wind is out in Wrigley. There's no precipitation. The air is going to be thin. Jamison Tyone higher than 4.5 hits allowed. That's going to boost you up. Underdog Fantasy, super easy to play and even easier to get started. You can go to their easy-to-use mobile app or to UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code ROCC, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. Plus, they'll give you a mystery special pick to use on your first Pick'em entry. If you don't like any of my picks there, throw one of them out. Throw in that first Pick'em entry special mystery pick, and then right there, you're at your full entry. You're winning what you can. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to get your first deposit of $10 more up to $100, plus that mystery special pick. Must be 18 plus and present to stay when Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Consumer play call whatever gambler. Visit www.ncbgambling.org.
Recapping the biggest stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Driven by R&R Tires. Visit rnrtires.com to lock in your $20 tires deal.
It's 9:07 in St. Louis. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley, Danny Mack, Randy Carricker, and time for the Rush Hour Reset. Doug Armstrong speaking to the media yesterday at his end-of-season media press conference. He's also sat down with BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. And one of the things that Army was asked about in his post-mortem was the season of one Jordan Kyrou.
Yeah, another 30-goal season. I thought he went through stretches this year where the puck didn't go in for him at the start of the year. I think if you look at all the fancy stats, he had a lot of chances, and they weren't going in, and then they start going in, and everybody gets off his back a little bit. So I think consistency maybe is something, but he's a game-changing player and a game-breaking player that has become a lightning rod for whatever reason. But I sat up here and I'm going to say 2017, and Jay Bouwmeester was a lightning rod and everybody hated him. And then he left our franchise and everyone thought, how are we going to live without Jay Bouwmeester? So these are ebbs and flows. A year ago, Colton Pranko and Jordan Bennington were finished, and now they're not finished. So I can't get sucked into this daily, he's a good player, he's a bad player thing that's there. I have to have a longer term approach, and if you want to have a relationship with someone, you better be willing to go through tough times if you want to go through good times with them. If you're only committed to someone through the good times, it's going to be a difficult relationship for you to be happy in.
Good response for Doug Armstrong.
Also, I'm going to use those last lines for my wedding vows. I'm going to steal that because that was very well said on Army's part. But seriously, though, I think that was very important for him to say. One, if you have any questions about what his plans are with Jordan Kyrou this offseason, we talked about the potential of him maybe being moved. But I think that was a pretty clear message from him that Jordan Kyrou's not going anywhere, and they're going to continue to let him grow and support him.
I love how Doug is he calls it like he sees it. I think you have to appreciate that. And he also was asked about Drew Bannister. I don't know, man. Is there a coach that can all of a sudden turn this team into a juggernaut? I'd say no. Could he be a coach that's a transition coach? I think so. By the way, Drew Bannister really did a good job. I don't think people realize how good he was. He was 30, 19, and 5, 10th best winning percentage, and 4th in the Western Conference. Pretty darn good.
Yeah, he did a good job. And I'm glad that Army does not get stuck in the maelstrom, because the media has a tendency to do that.
Okay, and he can tell me 3 weeks from now what I said today. So he sucks you guys right in. So consider yourself sucked.
So Army doesn't do that. He doesn't.
We need to take that thing away from you.
No, Dan.
Yes, Brooke.
It's a part of him. I think that it's a part of him at this point.
I'm just glad that we have that, because I think that might have been the day that the media laugh was born. That is one of the most egregious. Just like, yeah, good joke there, Bill.
So, hey, Doug Armstrong, overall, do you consider this season a success?
I would consider it a success in some ways, and obviously a failure because we didn't make the playoffs. It was successful because we saw growth in players we wanted to see growth in, and it's also successful because we got answers to questions we wanted answered, some positive, some negative. Sure. But you have to gain answers to move ahead. It's such a hard question. It's a great question because I can answer it. I feel both ways about it. Like, so excited about how we played against the good teams. So excited when we were laser focused and understanding that embarrassment was just a puck drop away. We answered the bell. And then disappointed that we didn't perform well against teams that psychologically and arrogantly we thought we were better than. And we didn't. So you get the positive, you get the negative. You see good growth in younger players. So it's a mixed bag. I wish I could say check one box, that's successful or failure. To me, it was a mixed bag.
And you really have to look at it from the perspective of the whole season, what he said before the season started and then where they were at the end of the season. And if we look at it from that perspective, granted, they had to fire a coach, but from my perspective, he expected them to be in the middle of the pack, and they wound up in the middle of the pack. So it is what he thought it was going to be.
It is. And we got a text from the 618. I think this is a very great point. And that's exactly why Doug Armstrong will carry so much more flexibility than with the Pobo. They're referencing, obviously, John Mozeliak there. He's honest and forthright within reason. Now, I think it's just to the point of we didn't hear the end of season presser with the Cardinals last season. With Doug Armstrong, I really appreciate him being able to go up there and answer those questions and being open and honest about that. Now, of course, he can't reveal every little thing about, who else are the other names on that small list when it comes to the coaching search. But I felt like just coming away, and I was out there yesterday talking to the players, everything like that. Of course, they're disappointed that they're missing the playoffs for the second season in a row. But at the same time, they feel like they do have the pieces in place to really build something moving forward, especially with those younger players.
Yeah, one of the pieces would be Buchnevich. And if I'm going for it, let's say in 25, 26, and 27, then I'm in. If not, which will be the case, I'd hold on to him until the trade deadline because you probably could get a pretty good haul for him. And you have Thomas, Kyrou, Dvorsky, Snuggerud, Neighbors. Maybe can you find a stud that's under 25 and pull out some magic? That's something to think about. And you couple that with Bolduc and Dean, you get something to build on here.
If you reopen a new 5-year window next season and you trade Pavel Buchnevich to a contender for a pick that's going to be in the 20s, in that 5-year window, is that first rounder that you get likely to be better than Pavel Buchnevich is in those 5 years?
What if I could find a second line center instead? So, Braden Shen did a nice job as the captain, and Doug talked about some of the tough times that he had. Instead of going to pick, can I find a second or a third-line center that allows Shen to play the wing? He was scoring. He had 20-goal season, but 7 of those were on the wing. It's something I'd look at.
I don't think, based on what I saw in the second half of the season, I don't think that Braden Shen is a number 2 center anymore.
I don't either.
Yeah.
And I do think he's effective on the wing. But I think are you talking about moving Buchnevich for a number 2 center?
Yeah.
Because I think that's a lateral move.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to get better up the middle.
And we have to, the other thing we have to keep in mind is the Blues aren't planning to be elite next year either. So you have to determine, and they're going to approach Buchnevich about an extension, but you have to determine, if you're the Blues, in that 5-year window.
When is the window?
Yeah, and is the guy that you get likely to be better than the guy that you trade?
I look at the window maybe being 26, starting then. So to give it another year next year?
I would say 25, 26, right.
Yeah.
I would go with that. And then Buchnevich would be 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. I think I'd rather take my chances on him, even as well as the Blues draft, than a pick.
And Army mentioned yesterday that he's a huge Buchnevich fan. So there will be conversation this summer, and it'll be interesting to see what they do, because I think the biggest thing, and Army mentioned this, is Buch is going to want to know if they're going to be able, what does this look like, this whole retooling? Will it stay like that, or is this going to be going in a different direction? That will be the determination of what he does moving forward.
And Jake Neighbors, man, young kid, 77 games, and the way that he played this year, that is a building block going. I didn't expect him to have this kind of year, for sure.
And he enters, for me, part of your leadership core next year, too. No doubt about it. That's Dan. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, more Blues and more about the coaching situation with our Blues insider from The Athletic, Jeremy Rutherford, next on 101 ESPN.
Have kids under 25? We can save you money at carltoninsurance.net.
I am big on home improvements, and Gutter Pros is big on home improvements in the St. Louis metro area. You can learn more about them and set up an appointment to have them come and visit you at gutterpros.com. But whether it's from a cosmetic point of view or a functional point of view, Gutter Pros is going to help you out. They're going to have gutters that look great, that are installed well, and they're also going to be very functional. They do 5- and 6-inch residential gutters, 6-inch commercial, and even 7-inch commercial and industrial gutters. And if you have a bigger building, they can go with bigger gutters. All you need to do is go to gutterpros.com to set up your free estimate. And the sales manager, Dave Sylvester, born and raised right here in St. Louis, he's a great guy that can help you out and really educate you about gutters and what they're supposed to do. And at the end of the day, what your gutter's supposed to do is make water go where you tell it to go. And at gutterpros.com, water goes where we tell it to go. A great St. Louis company, A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, 4.9 out of 5 stars on their reviews. Go to gutterpros.com.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's a mystery where Old Spice finds its amazing scents like Himalayan sea salt, but I'm thrilled they have because no other body wash exfoliates and moisturizes 24/7 like Old Spice Gentleman's Himalayan sea salt body wash. Now, if only there was a mountain range separating the Indian subcontinent from the Tibetan plateau where I could hide my Old Spice and keep my family from stealing it, my impossibly smooth skin will finally be safe.
This is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Sumner One. News, notes, and nuggets. It's time for the Rutherford Report with our Blues insider, Jeremy Rutherford. Brought to you by Scott Lee Heating Company, a proud Mitsubishi Electric Elite contractor.
Our Blues insider, Jeremy Rutherford from The Athletic, kind enough to join us in studio today. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you guys. And two things. I was listening, driving in, as I always do, and two things I picked up on. Does anybody work on Friday? There is absolutely no traffic on the way up here whatsoever.
No.
Anybody.
No.
The other thing I learned was Joey Vitale. I'm listening to the interview. Like he A+ every time, right?
Yeah.
I'm like Zach Bolduc. He's Robert Thomas. I'm driving in going, how am I ever going to match this guy? Like I can't keep up with this guy. So those
amazing,
are two things I learned on the way up there.
So Brooks got your first question.
Oh, the first hard-hitting question is, what are you doing this summer? No, I'm kidding. Okay, I'm just kidding. Obviously, the big story yesterday is who's going to be the Blues' next head coach, and you have an article about this right now on The Athletic where you discuss a lot of things, including that, and you also have some names as well. We know that Drew Bannister is one of the candidates on the small list. Who are some of the other names that you think might be a good fit for this role?
All right, if you bring up anything that I've written in the past couple of days, I don't remember it because it's been a lot, so it's been too much to remember. But in terms of the Blues coaching situation, we touched on it a couple of days ago in the article that it's a fluid situation, that Drew Bannister was going to be a candidate in the mix here, and Doug Armstrong, confirmed that yesterday. And then in terms of the list, like Doug Armstrong said, it's a small list at this point. He said it's not extensive. And the guys that I believe are on this list, in addition to Bannister, David Carl at Denver, we've touched on him. I also think, and even though I mentioned in an article that Jim Montgomery I don't think would be a candidate, that I think his situation in Boston is pretty firm and good, wouldn't rule it out. So even though I didn't mention him in the article as a possibility, I do think that there's a chance, because of that past relationship with Jim Montgomery, that you could see something. So, yeah, just a couple names there. As far as Quenneville, boy, did you guys hear Armstrong shoot that down right away?
It was pretty quick.
Yeah.
How did he do that?
Yeah, so I think it was Frank Cusimano sitting next to me, and he said, how about Joel Quenneville? Like, I'm not going to talk about candidates right now.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So, but I think that was less about Quenneville and more about he's not going to get into.
Does this organization have the stomach to hire Joel Quenneville?
I would not say no, and I think because a couple things. I realize Quenneville's involvement in the Chicago thing, or lack of involvement, however you want to look at it, is something that's at the top of the minds of hockey fans, and him coming back to the game wherever it is going to lead to a week's worth of news, right? But Doug Armstrong in the past has given second chances to a lot of guys. And, I talked to BK Ferraro the other day. BK made the point that this is a much larger issue than some of the things he's given second chances to, like a Jim Montgomery and his off-ice situation. But I still think that Doug Armstrong has that mentality. I think if the Blues decided that Joel Quenneville's our guy, we're going to bring him in and we're going to get through the week's worth of bad publicity because we think he's the right guy, I wouldn't put it past them to do that.
JR, how creative can Doug get with 8 guys 32 or older, and you can't move them at this point? How creative can he get this offseason?
Well, my first answer, Danny, is that I don't think that he could do all that in one offseason. So if you can do 1 or 2 of those guys, you can figure out a way to move a contract or make a trade or a buyout. How about that? I'm sure we'll get to that in a second. That I think that he could only do a couple this year. You're not going to see 4 or 5 30-year-old guys disappear from the roster this year. And then secondly, I think that it's going to take, like you said, some creativity, some different avenues. Like, is he giving up a draft pick to move this contract in a trade? With the buyout situation, I was shocked that Doug Armstrong had the answer he did yesterday to the buyout because, like he said, it becomes kind of an ego thing. You don't want to light money on fire. He used the example yesterday, when my kids come to me and say, can I have $1,000? I'm going to light it on fire. I'm not going to give you $1,000. And he said that's the equivalent of buying out a guy. I gave you the money a couple weeks ago, Randy, like to buy out a Torrey Krug, you're going to pay 14 of the $21 million that you still owe him over the next few years. And that's what his analogy was with the kids. So, there's different ways to do it, but you're right. You nailed it. He's going to have to be creative to try to do that.
And from a cap standpoint, an overall cap standpoint, the savings probably would not be worthwhile for the Blues, would they?
No, because just using that example, and the only reason I keep doing that is because, I ran the numbers, 14 of the 21 million, but you're going to have a $2.3 million cap hit on your cap, the next several years for that situation with a Torrey Krug. Here's the thing, though. The cap's going up to, 87.5. The Blues likely aren't going to spend to the cap, so they'd have the cap space to do that moving forward, where they haven't had that cap space in the past years. The thing is, you have to bring in other players to replace them. And then, how does it benefit the team? That was Doug's ultimate answer yesterday is, I'm not going to buy out a guy, just to buy it out. It has to make the team better moving forward.
And I wonder if there's any team. Do you know if there are any GM openings? Could somebody hire Ron Hextall for us?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I was trying to think of the GM openings, but you're right. Yeah, if you get Hexy in someplace, then Doug just ring him up.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be good.
Hey, we got Yori Laterra. What do you think about him?
I do think it's important that he did mention, as you were saying there, in regards to the buyout, is that he said it wouldn't be completely off the table, so he didn't say no to it specifically.
Yeah, no, he didn't, and that's what kind of surprised me. And so, there were 3 or 4 occasions yesterday where Doug said, hey, sometimes I've said some things in the past and maybe they've been misconstrued or maybe I didn't, spell it out properly. But whether it be no movements, a lot of headlines with the Alex Pietrangelo situation over the years that they would not give him a no movement. And I think what Doug was saying yesterday is it's not that we wouldn't, it's just not our preference to. And kind of same thing with the buyout. Brooke, he said that, it's not our preference. Well, yeah, it's probably nobody in the league's preference to give the buyouts and the no movements, but at some point you have to.
What's the appetite to keep Buchnevich long-term or to maybe look what you do at the trade deadline?
Yeah, Doug said all the right things yesterday. If you are a Buchnevich fan or if you're Pavel Buchnevich himself, that, they want to talk to him and they want to try to get him on an extension. You can't do that until July 1st. With a long-term contract that he's on right now, you have to wait until the final year of that contract before you can start finalizing something like that. So you're looking at July 1st and beyond. Does Pavel Buchnevich, who turned 29 a few days ago, does he want to be here 4, 5, 6, 7 years if the Blues are still a couple years away from winning? That's what Doug said yesterday. We need to sit down. I'm sure he's going to have some hard-hitting questions for me. I'm going to have to explain what we're trying to do here. But then also, Dan, from the Blues perspective, like I said, he just turned 29, so he's going to be 30 before that next contract kicks in. Do you want to give him 8 times 8? Doug hasn't done that with many guys in that situation in the past few years.
I look at these playoffs, and I think the Rangers will take care of Washington, and I think Carolina in the East has a pretty good chance to beat the Islanders. Every series in the West, Dallas and Vegas, Winnipeg and Colorado, Vancouver and Nashville, Edmonton and the Kings. I can see each of the 4 first-round series going either way. I wouldn't bet on any of them.
And that's why yesterday when I sat down at my laptop, The Athletic sends out our anonymous questionnaire, who's going to win each series. I let my 11-year-old son pick the series so we could do that. No, you're right. It's tough. And, they even ask us to pick it in 5, pick it in 6, pick it in 7. It's tough. But, yeah, I think there's a couple series there, Randy, that are gimmies. But I think that for the most part, it's going to be pretty wide open.
And if you're Dallas, you work your butt off all season long so that you can finish in first and get Vegas in the first round?
It's unbelievable. Now, thankfully, from their perspective, is Vegas going to be healthy? They might get healthy later in the playoffs if they can get past Dallas. But we'll see.
All they need, really, I know they'll get Stone back. They need their goalie.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I want to go back to the Blues. When does the window start to say, okay, now is the time, we have enough talent, you got Snuggerud, you got Dvorsky, maybe you make some moves because you get a little cap relief. When do you think that window starts?
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked that, because I want to say this. People might want to say this summer or next summer, hey, go sign this guy, he's out there. Yeah, you don't want to necessarily do that because, your window's not right now. And so when you get a Snugger and you get a Dvorsky and we get 2 or 3 years into this thing, there might be a better player available that you can go out at that point. And if you go out this summer and sign a guy, you're not going to be able to, most likely. So, Dan, I think the window's still a couple years away. And, you look at a Robert Thomas. I know, Randy, you've mentioned this. Look how long it took him, and that's not in a bad way. We understand it takes development time for him to become this type of player and put the Blues in this position. So even if you get a Snuggerud to come in, not next year, but the year after, it's going to be a year or 2 before he makes an impact. I talked to Dvorsky a couple days ago on the phone. I have a piece out next week at The Athletic. He's having a great year in junior hockey. And I said, what do you think about next year? And he said, well, I'm going to come to camp. He wants to make the team. Doug said that yesterday. But even if he makes the team, that's not to say he won't be down at Springfield at some point in the year and come up, and then maybe he makes the team for the whole year the following year. So I think this window is still a couple years away.
There's so much attention on Kyrou. What did you think of his season?
Kind of like what Doug said. The one thing we can't forget with Kyrou is that he was a little bit snake-bitten that first couple weeks, month of the season. There were some breakaways that didn't go in for him. Hey, look, he's got to bury him. I get it. But let's say he puts 3 of those in the early part of the year and he's at 34, 35 goals. Maybe we're not looking at his season like we do. That said, he has to take that next step. And I know that's cliche, and I know we've been saying that for a couple years now, but he just has to. He's 25 years old. He's getting paid the contract now. All the guys, the Tarasenko's, the O'Reillys, all those guys are gone. He's a guy that they have to count on. And I think Joey was saying it to you this morning. By the way, he did an awesome job telling you guys how good it was. That I think that they can't have the valleys that low, and that's a common phrase of Doug Armstrong. Peaks too high, valleys too low. But that's the situation with Kyrie. You can't go through long stretches where you have one of your top guys missing.
JR, as always, great stuff, and we'll be reading your great work in The Athletic, and we'll talk to you throughout the off season.
All right, sounds good. There really is no off season, but
I was gonna say, just your off season is gonna be busy. How is hockey dad life going for you?
Yeah, it's awesome, and hockey dad life turns into baseball dad life and softball dad life. So we actually, my daughter, 14 years old, she's got a tournament in the morning, and I think it's in St. Charles. Games at 8, got to be there at 6:45, so leave our house about 5:45. So I go from watching Blues practice every day to watching her and my son. So it'll be
nice. 6:45 for an 8 o'clock game.
Yeah.
You guys need to do show and go.
Hey, listen, I don't know if the coach is listening, but could you say that again?
You guys need to go show and go. No, 7:45 for an 8 o'clock.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, JR. See you later. Coming up, St. Louis City SC in action against Sporting Kansas this weekend. We'll preview that one for you next on 101 ESPN.
All right.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and I want to tell you why I love the Missouri Athletic Club. They're helping me stick to my two big goals this year, and that is getting into better shape. I was already in pretty decent shape, but I really wanted to push myself physically and mentally, and I've been working out twice a week with Christine. She has been amazing. I go over to the West location, and she has really pushed me, and also now I'm lifting heavier than I ever have before. So it's been so much fun working out with her, and also they're helping me with my other goal, which is getting back in the sport that I love, and I grew up playing my entire life, and that is tennis. I love going out and practicing with Scott and just getting back to some of those fundamentals that it really is helping my tennis game, and in turn, it's helping my pickleball game, which is something else I'm getting into over at the MAC, and they always provide a wonderful experience, and that's why I love my MAC.
Cardinals are back in action after a travel day. They start a three-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers tonight, 7:15 first pitch. It'll be Freddie Peralta on the mound for the Brewers. Peralta on the season, 2-0 on the season through 17 2/3 innings pitched. He has a 2.55 ERA and a sub-1 whip at .68. Kyle Gibson on the mound for the Cardinals, 1-2 on the season with a 6.16 ERA. Plenty of sports action this weekend, and it starts right here on 101 ESPN tonight as the Eastern Western Conference get their final playoff team as the Heat and the Bulls face off in the Eastern Conference playing 5:30, and the Pelicans and the Kings fighting for that last spot in the West. And over the weekend, St. Louis City SC plays against Sporting Kansas City as they reignite their rivalry tomorrow at 7:30, and the Battlehawks will host the Memphis Showboats down at the Dome tomorrow with an 11:30 a.m. kickoff. That is your Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Did you guys see that Sporting Kansas had 72,000 at Arrowhead for Messai? Pretty good. Pretty good. If we have Messai in town next year, are they going to have to move that to Busch Stadium?
That's a good question. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Figure out how the gate works for City SC and get the biggest crowd you possibly can. I would buy a ticket to see that. That's for sure.
I would too.
Even though I like City Park a lot, I would like to keep it in there, but there would be a lot of people who'd want to go see that.
Yeah.
Also, the game's probably going to have to be the first, 5 games of the season.
It'll be a match.
The match would have to be the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season because you're not turning over Bush into a soccer field after baseball season starts.
Why?
You can.
Can you really? Like, I just didn't think that. I don't know if the Cardinals would be able. I guess you get a long enough road trip, you can turn it around. That's fair. But it's got to line up pretty well.
So let's do it.
If there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Will, way.
Well, I mean,
there you go.
If they play on the same day at Busch Stadium, that kind of
be a little
destroys
bit
the will and the way a little bit.
Last time SC played in Kansas, it was in a playoff matchup, and the St. Louis City SC squad was eliminated from the playoffs. So they got a little revenge on their minds as they head to KC this weekend.
They do. To me,
this weekend.
There you go. Now, the big question for me is that we got a little bit more clarity on what's going on with Sam Adeniran, because we were talking about last week how maybe there was a little bit of a gray area with what Bradley Carnell was saying about Sam Adeniran, but now we got a lot more clarity this week. So this was Carnell on Sam Adeniran this past week. He said, right now we're focusing on guys who bring a certain standard, intensity, work effort, and training, and those players will get rewarded. Sam, up until further notice, will be training on his own. So if you had any questions about how they feel about Adeniran currently right now, I think that he made it crystal clear this past week.
Good for them. Good. When you bench a really good player, you set a standard, you set a tone for your entire organization. And now people know that, hey, if that guy was messing around and not trying hard and he has to train on his own, then I better train hard, because there's maybe two other players on the whole squad that are probably more bigger stars than Adeniran, maybe three, where nobody after watching this happens, nobody rational is going to not try hard.
And the thing is that, at first, and I'm a huge Adeniran fan, but Carnell knows what's truly going on behind the scenes, so I trust with what he's saying. I don't think that he would go out and say this if there wasn't something that he's seeing during the course of training. You see, I didn't say practice, Randy, because I knew that you would get mad at me, so I've learned my lesson here. During the course of training, there's something that he's not liking there, but it also shows you the difference in how he's handling certain players, because he was also asked about Leuven. And as we know, Leuven was out for personal reasons for a little bit of time, and he was asked about Leuven. He said he has a couple of things going on, and we're trying to give him the space needed and also progress his body the right way. Edu, for me, the first important thing in my pillar of beliefs is the person. He has all the time and space he needs. So, Rocc, I want to get your take on this. What do you believe is the difference here with Adeniran and with Leuven?
I just think it shows you that a line was crossed with the Sam situation. That this team, this isn't a very hard-ass, group of guys. This is just a line was clearly crossed. They're giving a lot of leeway to Leuven to figure out his situation. I actually have Carnell sound here. I'm going to play in a minute that kind of expounds on Leuven's situation, or just gives us more. It doesn't really actually give you more information. You just gives you another answer with a little bit more. But it just shows you how this team's handling player situations, and I just think it's indicative that a line was crossed somewhere in the Sam situation. Whether it was at training, whether it was in a meeting, we don't know any of those things, but clearly something happened. This isn't a team that just drops the hammer out of nowhere.
By the way, did you mention the word pillars?
I did.
Oh, God, we shouldn't do that.
Okay.
Let's get away from pillars.
We've got our
let's get away from pillars.
Right here. We've got our opening drive.
No, not pillars.
They're right here.
Oh, no.
Pillar? Did somebody say pillars?
You did.
Yes.
All
Go
roads
ahead.
lead to hardware. That's pillar number one. Number two, deflect blame at all costs.
Team first character.
No, that's not. Number three, keep the panic bus keys handy. And number four is just coast.
Well, somebody might have taken a little bit too much advice from our four pillars against Bradley's four pillars. Here was Bradley Carnell yesterday in the press conference expounding on the Leuven situation.
He's still not where he should be with his injury, but also he's been given extra time off for medical issues going on with his family. So, when I mentioned he can take all the time he needs in previous discussions, I wanted to make sure that, he's given me his grace to say this to you guys, to say that he would like his privacy in dealing with a medical situation.
Fair enough.
So there's that. So Leuven it looks like not going to be available or on the bench on Saturday. Sam Adeniran very clearly he said will not be available off the bench on Saturday. The question now is going to be they're kind of below the roster limit. You can take obviously your 11 starters and the 9 people on the bench. They're below 20 players now, so the question might be who gets called up from City 2. City 2 does play tonight, and we'll see maybe if they hold somebody out or if they give somebody some extra minutes before calling them up to the main squad for tomorrow's game.
Randy, speaking of pillars, you forgot about a pillar, and maybe this is is what's going on in the case of a dinner in, the pillar of never give 100%. But in this case, Carnell expects 100%.
It was
Did you mention that?
Just coast.
Oh, just coast it.
Yeah,
okay, there we go.
basically, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
But also, Rocc, don't you guys have an event, you and with the one-on-one podcast?
Yes, we're going to be recording our podcast live tomorrow from 9 Mile Garden in Afton on Gravois. It's right there between Mackenzie Road on Gravois. So come on down. We're going to be recording the live shot of the podcast between 5 and 7, doing a little pregame, hanging out with people, talking. Then the game will kick off at 7:30. 9 Mile Garden has those oversized screens outside. It's going to be great soccer weather. Put on a jacket, wrap yourself with your favorite STL City scarf, and we'll have a bunch of food trucks out there as they always do at 9 Mile Garden. So it'll be a great time to watch the game and again hang out with me and Moon. You can see exactly how I react during a St. Louis City match.
Ooh, at the food trucks. You sold me on food trucks.
There you go.
Well, I mean, of course, seeing you and Moon is great, of course, but
No,
trucks.
come for the food truck. There's food trucks, and you can buy little stuff from the 5 different ones there, and give yourself a nice little smorgasbord.
What time?
We'll be there from 5 to 7 p.m. Kickoff's at 7:30. We'll probably be recording the live show probably around 5:45, 6.
Are you emotional during these games?
I get into it a lot. I got a notepad. I'm furiously writing down notes and things
Really?
like that. I'm all in it with these games because I watch it once and then I go back and I watch it a second time, usually the next day, so that I can then talk about it like I'm not an idiot.
Wow.
So the game tomorrow night, 7:30.
One thing, we did get a text and somebody says
match.
Yeah, there you go. And somebody says it's 9 Mile family friendly. Yes, it's outdoors. The kids can run around. They have beverages of all kinds and plenty of food for everybody. But we did get a text here, 636. Practice, man. We talking about practice. Free Sam. Let him cook. Clearly, he's the best offensive player.
There you go. Thank you.
I disagree with that statement. I think if you look at the numbers and break it down, Klaus is a better player for this scheme. I'm not saying Sam's not a good striker. I'm not saying he's not a good goal scorer. I'm saying that with this scheme, where you have to play defense even as the furthest up offensive player, you got to track back and you have to link up with the team. And Sam's really good at making one-on-one moments, but I think that might be actually a detriment when you're on this roster because it's going to be team moments that make this team actually win and score.
Who is your favorite striker of all time?
Oh, Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Oh, he's a good one.
He's just because he's ridiculous, too. If you ask Zlatan Ibrahimovic who's the best person at X, if he's in the room with you, he's going to say, I'm the best person at that. If you asked him who was the best basketball player ever, and it's just you and Zlatan in a room, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is going to look at you and say, I'm the best basketball player. Because that's just how Zlatan rolls. He's my favorite.
Cool. Mine's Ted, striker.
Okay. All right. What do we have next? What do we have coming up
We're going to give away
next?
tickets. We've got Cardinal Bud Bash tickets to give away next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here, and this year we decided it was time to make a major upgrade to our home by updating our bathroom. We have this house in U City. It's over 100 years old, and we love it, but we didn't exactly love our main bathroom. So we decided to reach out to one of our great sponsors here of 101 ESPN, and that is EMB Granite. EMB Granite's team visited our house for a free consultation, and they came up with a vision of how to just really transform our bathroom. My favorite part of working with them was stopping by their amazing showroom to explore their large selection of in-stock custom countertops, all the different cabinet options, and you might be surprised, or probably not, but my favorite part was picking out the new colors for our bathroom, and it has been so much fun. Jen has been working with us, and she's been fantastic. She had so many great ideas for us that just really fit within our budget, and that's what they've been doing there at EMB Granite for over 20 years, turning visions into reality. So call and schedule your free consultation by calling 314-645-9300 or go online to embgranite.com or stop by their amazing showroom today and mention that I sent you.
I want to rock. You know, end roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Just watching one of the great Ted Stryker scenes from Airplane.
Stryker.
We've got tickets for you for the Budweiser Bash next Tuesday at the ballpark. Cardinals taking on the Diamondbacks, and they're going to feature Jeff Suppan. He'll be in town to sign autographs. You can get all the details on this season's series of Budweiser Bash Cardinals games now at cardinals.com/promotions, or you can just text in and answer the question right now. All you need to do is text in to 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO to win Budweiser Bash tickets for the Cardinals versus the Diamondbacks on April 23rd. Matthew, did you come up with a question for today?
It's not baseball related, but I have a trivia question to win some tickets because I got soccer on the mind. It's the rivalry, however you want to call it.
Sure.
Do you guys like barbecue?
Barbecue, yeah.
Like barbecue, but as a derby.
Okay.
That's
who has the best barbecue? Let's go ahead and settle this right now. I haven't had Kansas City barbecue, so I'm going to go with St. Louis.
You should go with St. Louis, but Kansas City barbecue is excellent.
It's really good.
It's really good.
What is the difference? Like, what is considered Kansas City barbecue?
From what I can gather, theirs is more spicy. And I kind of like our sweet better than spicy.
I love sweet.
Yeah.
Isn't it sweet and smoky? Isn't that
sweet and smoky? Yeah. Pretty good. So that'd be the big difference. Okay, so let's go with a barbecue question.
All right, fine. When they were last over in Kansas, they lost 2-1 in the second leg of that playoff matchup. Who scored the one goal for St. Louis City? They lost 2-1. Who won the goal? Who scored the one goal for St. Louis City.
Let's take texture number 10, because 10 is traditionally the number of the best soccer player.
These are why these names bother me, because I'm trying to say St. Louis City and it's Sporting KC, and there's just too many S's, and I'm twisting over myself and falling over myself, and it's making me angry.
Gotcha. You got anything else on Rock and Roll here, or did we take up all your time?
Listen, this was a bad spring and bad post-November for the Missouri Tigers and for the Billikens. But ladies and gentlemen, there's sunshine on the horizon. The sun is going up. You've got Memorial Stadium getting its expansion up to 65,000 seats with the brand new. I'm blanking on the word. The images. I'm blanking on the word that we actually. What do we call these images?
The North End
renderings. Thank you. That's the word. Thank you.
Ding, ding. Do I win the ticket?
Yes, you do. You win the tickets.
Okay, perfect.
The North End renderings looks fantastic, and I'm not checking it off yet. Not counting the chickens before they hatch. It looks like Dennis Gates is doing some work inside the portal as well, and of course we know what's going on with Josh Schertz, potentially wrapping up his Sycamores, getting Gibson Jimerson. Just good things going on right now for the Billikens and the Tigers. And after again the last 6 months we've had with those two programs, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, absolutely, be great. Good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It'll be a busy sports weekend.
Yeah,
Cardinals with 3 against Milwaukee. Battlehawks tomorrow morning against Memphis at 11:30. St. Louis City SC at KC, Sporting Kansas tomorrow for a 7:30 contest.
Come down to the watch party at 9 Mile Garden, 5 to 7 p.m.
Yeah. Check it out.
I'll go see the food trucks.
Woo!
Yeah, good call.
That counts.
That counts.
Yeah. And I've got a PGA Reach trivia night tonight.
Nice.
Yeah, over at Hollywood Casino.
Are you in it? Like, are you answering questions?
I am a participant.
What team got the ringer today?
I'm playing with my buddy Chris Muir from Golf Discount, Manny Fresh. Manny Fresh has always wanted a shout out on this show, so Manny Fresh, there's your shout out, and yeah, we're going to go over and hopefully there's a sports round.
Awesome.
I don't know anything else. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but I don't know anything else about anything other than sports
or
like movies.
Oh yeah, I was going to say you could do pop culture a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
You'll be solid. I know you will.
Thank you, Dan.
No problem.
Great job today by our producer, audio, video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocc. Appreciate it, sir.
Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes,
You got big plans? You going to go to the Battlehawks tomorrow?
I will be doing something sports related, but I have not decided yet.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
So find something, though.
I think there's plenty to find.
Yeah,
so
there is.
I will pick. I have a pick of litter here.
Yeah. So, Dan, what do you got going on this weekend? Fun and exciting stuff?
Something with the kids.
That's the way it seems to
Not
work.
sure. It's usually just they roll out a schedule and I say, okay.
Good. We'll
Don't know the schedule yet.
Great job as always.
You too. Thanks.
And Danny brought in the long national controversy. It's pretty much been settled. Cinnamon Crunch bagels from Panera, a.k.a. St. Louis Bread Company. You get them bread sliced. If you don't, you're just not very bright.
I don't know if you're not too bright, but it is the best way to have them.
It's the best way to have them. If you do it long ways, okay? You've got a top and a bottom of a Cinnamon Crunch bagel. You might as well have the bottom of any bagel, like an everything or a plain or an onion, right? But with this, you get Cinnamon Crunch every single bite.
You guys barely touched them, though. It's going to be left for Jackson and Tim McKernan.
So our friend Michelle Smallman has been in doing her show during the course of the week, so I took a couple slices in for her. And she said, oh, it's a taste of home.
There you go.
So it's good. I'm going to have some more, too.
Good.
And Paula and Tammy from they bought an opportunity to see us, a charity event at the Baseball Writers Dinner. So good to have you in here. Thank you very much for joining us. And we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us, until Monday morning at 7 o'clock, don't just have a great weekend, have an American weekend.
That's right.